lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Few tracks inspire the awe of nearly all road racers. Spa is one of those legendary circuits that, in spite of huge changes to its layouts over the years, has continued to capture the hearts and admiration of drivers and fans alike from around the world. Today, the Northwest Majors will hop into iRacing's GT3 cars and unleash them for Round 8. I'm Joe Peak, and you're getting ready to witness the Northwest Majors 2.4 Hours of Spa. Our cameras have been provided by Dougie Beard and are directed by Giancarlo Lenzi. Joining me in the booth is Bill Zahn and Samuel Ryman. Though our road racing fans are probably no stranger to this track, Sam, why don't you tell us a bit about the course for those unfamiliar?
Well, there are three things that are great about Belgium, Joe. Julian chocolates, waffles, and Spa-Francorchamps. I don't know if it's possible to have a fetish for racetracks, but if it is, this is it. 19 turns here, 19 curves, and most of them, all but one, have names. Feel very sorry for that turn 9. And we are going to get to enjoy it for 2 hours and 24 minutes with these 23 cars on this circuit. It is 7 kilometers, 4.35 miles long, but they'll be going around here a lot of times, and they've had plenty of time to practice, so hopefully we should see a fascinating race today.
No doubt, and one thing that has been fascinating with this championship is with the ovals and roads on it. Bill, it's made things quite interesting between drivers with the ebb and flow.
Yeah, they do road. They have a road champion, I think, and an oval champion as well. But what's interesting is when we do our standings here, Toby Butler is leading his 151 points, and that looks like, if I do my math, about 18 ahead of Brian Barnes in second place. Carl Burke has 101 points in third, and then there's close battle for fourth between Mark Redeker and Stephen Paulson. They have 92 and 91 points each. So this season is moving along nicely, and if Toby Butler can stay out of trouble, he's going to be able to hold on to his lead come the end of this 2.4 hours. Joe?
We'll have to wait and see, but as we wrap up qualifying on this foggy day out here on Spa, we are going to go to a lap guide around here and see what it's like on a clearer day. All right, Kevin Brown is behind the wheel of the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Spa. The very first corner is the nefarious La Source hairpin. Turn 1 pileups are common here, so drivers will need their heads on a swivel. 3 and sometimes even 4 wide can happen as everyone jockeys for position. As you exit, getting the power down is going to be critical due to the combination of the downhill and the long acceleration zone. Heading by the old pits, you got to hug that wall to the right and set up for Eau Rouge. Then hold your breath and keep your foot down as you try to straighten this baby out. Guys who push wide at Rodillon are going to wind up with a slowdown penalty, and that is going to hurt as everyone blows by them along the Kemmel Straight. Now we switch to an uphill climb to the highest point on the circuit. The Lacombe chicane coming up will be one of your best passing opportunities, though it is possible to defend from the outside. You can expect guys to pass up an easy overtake into La Source and wait to get somebody here. As you switch back and forth, make sure you set up for Malmedy to keep anybody from getting a run on you toward Ravage. Now it's all downhill from here. Literally. We've got a steep plunge into the braking zone and all the way around this 180-degree corner. You're likely to experience understeer, but before you know it, it's time to get to the right and flick it through no-name corner. Now we set it up for Pouan. With the grip of these cars, there's just a little braking and then holding on as the car tries to slide wide into that paved runoff. As soon as you feel you've got the line, time to ease onto that right pedal and accelerate the rest of the way around this very fast corner. Careful how wide you drift on the exit though, with the slippery AstroTurf right beside the curb. Get back to the left, and now we've got Fagnes. Make sure and hug the inside on that right-hander to give yourself the best launch towards Stavolo. Once again, be wary of that AstroTurf. One more switchback, and it's a pretty straightforward 90-degree corner for this first part. But the real important thing is the next right-hander. We only have to lift a little, but wait too long, and you'll lose time hand over fist down the backstretch. You've got some mild little turns, but once again, there's no lifting all the way. Even as you come up to Blanchimont, the grip of this car lets you stay in it easily. Just carry as much of your momentum as you can, and then drift back to the left and spot your brake marker for the bus stop. This is probably your next best chance to get beside another car in the braking zone. I've seen passes made both inside and outside, so pick your poison and hold firm. There's even a possibility of pulling a switchback if you time it right. But as we pull back to the main straight, we've now finished a lap around Spa. Welcome back. Qualifying is just wrapping up, so the positions are in order at this point. On pole is Ryan Huff, followed by Jimbo Pfeiffer outside the front row. Josh Gardner is starting in third, with Ryan Worley starting in fourth. Then Brian Barnes is in fifth, Jimmy Jones in sixth, Corey Peters in seventh, followed by Carl Burke in eighth, Brian Bennett in ninth, and Kevin Brown rounds out the top 10, Sam.
Then it is John Brown in 11th, followed by Dalton Petrillo in 12th. William Fletcher and Aaron Stowe are on row 7, followed up by Wayne Hutchinson and Kevin Canodal. Gary Nichols and Gino Scarpino Sr. are 17th and 18th on the grid, followed by Chris Beck and David Freeboth. Over to you, Bill.
For the final three, I can handle that. Joshua Ryan in 21st. 22nd is Stephen Paulison. You know, that's interesting because I just mentioned him in the top 5, and look how far down the charts he is on the grid here. In points, he was in the top 5. And then in 23rd spot, we have Howard Wendell. That rounds out the field of 23. Back to you, Joe.
I believe
J.D.
Snyder is...
Sorry about that. Let's go down the way. I knew Sam wouldn't just send me over for 3 guys. J.D. Snyder and Randy Webster round out the top 25. With Stuart Dent, I'm not sure if he actually qualified. Now back to you, Joe.
I'm not seeing him on the grid. It looks like Randy is going to be our last one in line. He did not get a qualifying lap in, which is not unusual around here with the incident points for going off track, which nullifies your lap. Somebody remind me, though, don't give Sam any more sugar for the rest of this broadcast, or we might have a lot of trouble on our hands. You can see quite interesting conditions today. And we were hearing from some of the drivers, Sam, about how it's a little bit slippery out there, actually.
Yeah, it is, which surprises me, because it is 65 degrees Fahrenheit. You can tell this light foggy conditions we've got out here means it's a bit cooler. You would think the tyres would be gripping the track a little bit better. This isn't exactly a track that's been known for having low grip. It is used quite often, one of the most popular courses in Europe, if not the world. So that is a bit surprising, but as you say, we have had drivers reporting a lack of grip. As always in the Northwest Majors, the cars will get 2 free repairs, so hopefully if you're going to spin off, don't do it more than twice.
That's for sure. And you can see working their way up to the bus stop chicane, or what used to be a bus stop chicane. It's now more of a regular chicane as the pace car works its way through, followed by the field. With 2 hours and 24 minutes, and the pace car actually peels off because it is the endurance version. So even though they are not going to be starting yet, Ryan Huff will be leading them down to the second start-finish line on the downhill towards Eau Rouge. With 2 hours and 24 minutes, these guys will have to be patient. There's going to be a bit of a hustle and bustle in these first few laps as everybody tries to sort themselves out, especially with the draft. But everyone has got a long way to go. There's no need to try and rush up to the front right away. Let's see when Ryan Huff decides to accelerate. The green flag has just been handed out, and Ryan Huff takes off away. Jimbo Pfeiffer following him closely gets a good start. They're already slotting into single file. Josh Gardner in third. Everybody seems to be doing a good job up through Eau Rouge. They kind of might have to take a few too wide situations. I see a car off a little up the way. I didn't quite see who that was. It looks like
John Brown got loose through Eau Rouge, but was able to keep on it. One thing we need to mention, Joe, everyone is racing each other. You see 3 different cars. Normally that means 3 different classes. Not today. They're all in the same class, so every battle is for position.
Absolutely, and that was Dalton Petrillo who kicked all that off, lost a number of positions down the line as he had to slow down for cutting the course in Eau Rouge. However, you can see everybody's pretty cleanly through as Ryan Huff is already extending a decent gap ahead of Jimbo Pfeiffer in second, who is very much under threat from Joshua Gardner at this point, Bill.
Yeah, and I want to point out that Ryan Woolley, who qualified fourth, didn't make the grid, so I'll see if he started from the pits, or I don't see him on the track right now.
Interesting development. Ryan is usually a fast driver on both the ovals and the road courses, so this is going to hurt if he's not able to start from the grid. Not sure what happened there. We'll try and get you information as the race goes on. With the fog today, unfortunately, I don't quite have my eye in the sky, so I haven't seen if there's been any big accidents so far. Thus far as I've seen, Sam, it's been pretty clean racing, which is a good sight to see on an endurance start.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate about Ryan Worley not making the race, because he announced to the Northwest Major Series shortly before the start of this race that he will not be able to attend another race after this one for a little while, so unfortunately we're going to be not hearing from Worley a whole lot. But yeah, Joe, it really doesn't surprise me to see Ryan Huff check out, because he was 1.2 seconds faster than everybody else in qualifying. So really the battle is for second right now, with Jimbo Pfeiffer leading Joshua Gardner. In fact, there's quite a bit of a train behind him. Everyone is following the Pied Pfeiffer.
Absolutely. Although there's a bit of a gap back to Jimmy Jones, currently sitting in fourth position. He's got Brian Barnes just behind him, and that orange and black car. You can see them now heading around La Source with Jimmy sitting in that black and green roof. And these three different cars, obviously, they're very, very close in competition. iRacing does a really good job of trying to keep them pretty even, but they each kind of have their own distinct characteristics, Bill.
Yeah, and we've talked about this in other races. You know, some of the drivers think that maybe the McLaren gets off the corners a little better, and why the Z4 might be great through long sweeping corners, which would seem to favor it here at this course. You know, I don't see a McLaren really anywhere up in the top 10 or so. I'm going to see if I can find one.
Hey guys, we got massive damage on Aaron Stowe's BMW. I don't know what happened. He lost it going into the bus stop last race, I think. I'm going to try and, No, he lost it way before that. He lost it.
While you're searching for that, we did witness a pass by Brian Barnes, who's moved himself into fourth past Jimmy Jones. So there's, I believe, our first McLaren up in fourth position for you there, Bill.
Yeah, and we'll keep an eye on him. We'll see how that plays out. I think he's going to be really good on the downhill section of that tight left-hander, and we'll see if he can make up some ground there.
One driver also close behind, looking to hunt down another position, is Kevin Brown, currently behind Corey Peters, and he actually has an onboard camera right now. If you want to go to the second camera on GSRC, our second channel rather, you can go and watch the onboard of Kevin Brown as he tries to make it all the way to the end of this 2.4 hours. Now, Kevin Brown's an interesting character out in this field. I once heard that he tried out for the Chippendale Dancers 5 times and got rejected every time.
Is that really true? I believe that is correct.
Well, he has a huge moment coming out of Blanchimont, but holds it together, now braking for the bus stop. Chicane isn't close enough to make anything happen, so he's at the back of this line of a lot of cars, and there's a big check up there as Corey Peters looks to try and get past Carl Burke, and it looks like he might be able to do it. He's on the outside coming up to La Source. It's going to take a really far lunge, and he does. In fact, he outbrakes himself just a little bit, which means he gets a bad run off the corner, so he loses a position. And now just behind him, there's a battle going on between Brian Bennett and Kevin Brown. Bennett has the inside coming down the front stretch, but they're going to hit Eau Rouge, and I do not want to see these guys go too wide. Oh, Kevin's going to try it this early in the race, and wow! Wow, game of chicken 1 for Kevin Brown for that 8th position.
Well, he is certainly good at the chicken dance, and he's certainly good at not being a chicken here today. What a move by Kevin. Yeah, too wide through Eau Rouge was something highly not recommended. We've seen it work out in real life, rather not work out in real life many times before, and somehow Kevin was able to pull it off like a rooster.
And this is only lap 3. We've we're 8 minutes into this thing from what I'm seeing, so wow, that was gutsy for that early in the race. He must have had supreme confidence that both in his competitors and that he could pull that off. Meanwhile, jumping back up front, it looks like there is a 2-second lead, between Ryan Huff and Jimbo Pfeiffer sitting in second. So, starting to stretch that lead already, trying to pull a Vettel and gap himself out up at the front.
Brian Barnes is in 4th place in a McLaren. We have a Roof in 1st, and it looks like a Z4 in 2nd. This is a nice mix of cars. And another Roof, it looks like, and then the McLaren in 4th place.
Yeah,
So
and let's not forget last week, Joe, where Brian Barnes kept losing his connection, but he did not give up. When the challenge came, he kept fighting until all the way to the end, trying to prove that he could win. Of course, he wasn't able to. He finished about 10 laps down, but still, he did not give up, and today he's been able to hold the connection. He's currently in 4th place. If he can keep this up, he may be in the points lead when we leave Spa-Francorchamps.
That is a fighter to the end, that's for sure. As you said, Toby Butler not here today, and look at actually we're on board with Barnes, but we want to get off of that because right now there's a trail behind Jimmy Jones with Carl Burke, Corey Peters, and Kevin Brown checking up in the bus stop behind him. Kevin Brown trying to hunt down Peters as they head towards La Source. He's not close enough as they accordion together for this slow hairpin of a right-hander, and now plunge down the hill towards the famous Eau Rouge.
Burke was really hard on the brakes. He almost got into the back of Jimmy Jones there in the bus stop, and it looks like Jimmy's put a little distance between them now.
Everyone's got to be careful up Eau Rouge. Woo! Big slide from Carl Burke up at the top of the hill through Delion. But everyone has to be oh so careful, especially when you're close to someone behind you. And it looks like Corey Peters did not heed it, and so did Kevin Brown. Both of them getting slowdown penalties, and this has allowed Brian Bennett to claim 2 positions, breezing by on the straight.
Dalton Petrillo into the pits. This is very early. I can't imagine it's scheduled. He was running about midfield, 16th out of the 24 cars. And this is a long pit road. I don't really have an analogy to talk about how long it is. It's that long. But yeah, I don't know about this, Joe. Fortunately, he should be able to get out on the lead lap, I would think. The leaders currently working their way around Pujon. But still, it's going to make his race a lot tougher.
Yeah, he was running well. I don't think he hit anything. So, and he's in there a long time. So maybe there's a problem.
I kind of wonder if maybe he's taking a reverse strategy of trying to get himself to the end where he can pit as early as possible, or maybe just get off strategy and get away from everybody else. So that's the only thing I can think of at this place. But my math is not good enough to figure out 26 minutes at a time, with that being the gap. Currently sitting and watching Kevin Brown still battling as they head through some more of these corners back, heading up towards Blanchimont. Brown has been hunting him for quite a while, can't seem to try and make it happen. He was able to gut his way past one driver, but certainly having a little bit of a tougher time here with Peters.
Yeah, fortunately he's coming up into several good overtaking opportunities here. The bus stop hit first of all, but he is too far back. And I don't see any buses there, so they'll keep going on. And now they're going to come up to the hairpin, but it's Peters who gets a better run out of a turn as they come across to complete lap 5 and start lap 6, funnily enough. Here he comes, Kevin closes in, and now there's an absolutely horrible overtaking opportunity here, which means Kevin might actually try it. No, he's not going to. This is Eau Rouge. But I'll tell you what, if he can get a good run out of Eau Rouge and Redalian, he can go 150 miles an hour in his BMW, maybe more, down this Kemmel Straight here and into Les Combes. That might be what he's going to do. Kevin Brown may be about to make his move right now, Joe.
He's got the draft, but it looks like Peters goes defensive down the Kemmel Straight up towards Le Combes. You can pass around the outside because of that switchback in this fast chicane. Is he going to try it? He slightly outbrakes him. He chops him off. He's got it clean. So, up into 8th position for Kevin Brown, which is, I think, where he was before. He had that slowdown penalty a lap ago. So, he's finally made up for that mistake. Now, he's got to try and work his way up to Brian Bennett and get that position back into 7th where he wanted originally.
I want to give a shout out to Avon Stowe, and here it is. Avon Stowe, But seriously, this guy has actually came back into the middle of the field despite his the front of his car looking like a pug that got hit by a bus in the bus stop. But it is still running okay, so he's going to try and keep it out there till his first pit stop, and that is when he'll be able to use up his first of 2 free repairs. He doesn't want to really take any much more than that, but that damage really doesn't seem to be slowing him down right now.
Well, despite that, let's jump up to Carl Burke and Jimmy Jones. This is for 5th and 6th position. You can see Carl in that red BMW trying to hunt down the roof of Jimmy Jones. Jimmy has just been going backwards steadily throughout this race, already looking to the inside. They're coming up to Blanchimont, and he lets him go, which is probably a smart move coming through that fast left-hander. I was going to say it's another corner where you really don't want to go too wide, but Jimmy Jones doesn't appear to have the pace, Bill.
No, and just to follow up on Dalton Petrillo, he came out of the pits. He's still on the lead lap. He's about to be lapped by our leader right now. I'm not sure if he's up to pace. It's kind of hard to tell as our leader's going to go by him here, maybe as they cross the start-finish line just past that.
I don't know what happened to Ryan Huff a couple of laps ago, but his lead over the line a couple of laps ago was down to 1.2 seconds. He's been able to stretch out over Jimbo Pfeiffer to 1.6 seconds now, so it's gapped a little bit. But Pfeiffer certainly proving to have the pace to match Huff early on in the going here, Joe.
Yeah, I was trying to look back, see if I could find a mistake somewhere along the line, but I didn't quite see anything huge. But then he wasn't that far away that, maybe all he had was running a little bit wide.
What's happened to Joseph Ryan in the McLaren coming out of a Blanchimont section? Oh, it looks like he's been having really bad connection issues. I'm wondering if that's what's causing him. He's in pit road right now.
Oof, sad to see that someone is having connection issues this early on. That's going to set you back and make it an uphill battle. Meanwhile, we're following Jimbo Pfeiffer, who's trying to work his way around the lap car of Dalton Petrillo, who's pitted early. Could be off strategy. We're not entirely sure. Could be having some other sort of issue, and now he slows down and lets him by, which is nice gentlemanly racing to see from Dalton Petrillo in last place currently.
Well, it looks like he's up to speed. He's maybe doesn't have the pace to run with the leaders, but doesn't look like the car is damaged at all. So maybe he's just trying to take the road less traveled.
Could be the case. We have another 2 hours and 10 minutes to find out. So we are only on lap 5 so far of this race. I'm sorry, lap 6 of this race with the leaders at least. Petrillo is currently sitting on lap 5 with him being in last place. So with our 24 starters, I suppose, even though he's being shown in 23rd currently, it's going to be, we've got a lot to work out between these guys. We got a lot to watch. There's a few battles going on. Dalton having a bit of trouble, it looks like, going through the bus stop quite slowly. But let's hop through the field, see if we can find something going. Actually, I see Joseph Ryan still in the pits there, so his issues seem to be pretty terminal at this point. Heading my way up through the field. Everyone's actually starting to spread themselves out, getting a little piece. Our closest battles are still Brian Barnes sitting in 4th, followed closely by Burke, then Jones and Bennett, all the way back down to 7th. This is a little train of cars that are kind of keeping each other in check.
Joseph Ryan just pulled out of a race. And so, unfortunately, that will be our first DNF of the race. 24 starters, 22 cars still on the lead lap. Dalton Petrillo 1 lap down after that unscheduled pit stop, and Joseph Ryan out of a race.
Meanwhile, Burke has a run down the Kimmel Straight coming up on Brian Barnes. He takes a look into the inside coming up to Lacombe, but slots back into line just a little bit too far forward to try and make a dive bomb through there. A very nice and tidy line for Carl Burke, though, compared to Brian Barnes, who is a little bit slippery around that Lacombe chicane. Now they head down into Ravage. Very tight right-hander, very long right-hander. Once again, just sliding out wide while Carl Burke just keeps it nice and tidy. Obviously, his car is handling a little bit better. I'm sure as they both go off into the AstroTurf there on the exit, there's going to be an opportunity for Carl somewhere if he just stays patient.
I've been watching a battle with Wayne Hutchinson and Gino Scarpino. Scarpino just got around him for 13th position, so 13th for Scarpino, and Hutchinson drops into 14th now.
So it sounds like Scarpino on the move in that blue and black BMW, working his way through the field. Where did he qualify? He qualified in 18th, so he's not doing too bad at the moment.
I don't know what's happened to Stephen Paulison. It looks like he's been having connection issues and he has lost the front end of his McLaren. So yet another driver running into a bit of early trouble here.
So it sounds like, and as you would expect in an endurance race, the name of the game is attrition.
Here goes Burke. Sorry to cut away, Joe, but Burke down the inside of the bus stop. Able to hold on to it, so Barnes kind of gave him a position there, but Barnes can't give up too much time because the Jones-Burnett battle is right behind him. These four have formed up into a pack, so Burke takes Barnes. Will the Burke stop here?
Oh, and Bennett making a very late dive into LaSource. Whoa, that was pretty gutsy, and he manages to pull it off while Jones actually goes very wide to give him the space on the exit, but that wide exit has given him just a little bit more room, and he is going to hold on to his position in 6th. Oh, Bennett. He's not going to do that when he cuts Eau Rouge like that. Is he going to get a slowdown? He was very far inside there. It looks like he's safe. He's not slowing down.
Yeah, Bennett did a nice job of going wide there to avoid contact. Could have been tough.
Currently sitting, and Bennett is actually off as we are on board, and you can see the car bobbling around over the grass and the curbs there through Lacombe. Now as we hop off, I don't think he got any damage to that, although the underside of the car could have been hurt potentially. He continues on without much incident, but he has definitely lost touch with these three in front of him. Looking at the Oregon State car of Brian Barnes, that orange, white, and black McLaren sandwiched in between the roof of Jimmy Jones and behind the BMW of Carl Burke. That is for 4th, 5th, and 6th position currently. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I was watching Aaron Stowe meanwhile going for another little spin. Didn't hit anything though, but certainly going to rack up his incident points. Doesn't mean a whole lot here for people familiar with iRacing. There is no incident point cap. That means you can run off or spin as many times and continue in the race as long as you don't get disqualified by any of the league organisers. Meanwhile, something that's kind of new to iRacing, and I've been noticing it particularly on the McLaren, so let's keep a camera on Brian Barnes as he'll be coming down into the bus stop section here, is watch the rear end of that car and those little flicks of flame coming out of the exhaust pipes. There you just see, there was actually just a bit of it as he went through the Blanchimont section. Maybe we'll see a lot more here. There you go, downshifting into the bus stop. Woo, that is orange, that is hot, and that's going to heat up the circuit a little bit, maybe add a little bit of grip. And here goes Brian Barnes back out onto the main straight.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope Jimmy Jones has a marshmallow or maybe a hot dog or two. He could keep himself entertained for the 2.4 hours as now they break, and you can see even more of those flames heading into La Source. Everybody still staying line astern for those positions between these three different makes of vehicles. So not much happening between these guys until someone potentially makes a mistake.
I'm looking at Kevin Kernoodle running down John Brown in 11th and 12th spot. He's been chasing for the last couple laps. He's getting close, and there it is.
Gary Nichols. What the heck happened there? It looks like Gary Nichols, I guess, spun out of La Source, and the Kevin Kernoodle hit him.
Yeah, he had spun, and unfortunately, he wasn't paying attention to what cars were coming. He backed up right into the racing line just about. We're on replay now as we watch the BMW of Gary Nichols head through the bus stop, now down the GP pit straight up to La Source. You'll see he just overcooks that corner a little too much as he now heads into the braking. Nice turn in. It looks like, yeah, he just got on the gas a little too quickly and then makes the rookie mistake of backing up, and the BMW of, can't remember who that was, Kernoodle, actually? Yeah, Kernoodle just turned him over on his lid. So that is one car down for poor Gary Nichols.
And very unfortunate for Nichols because he was running in 10th at the time, and as he was laying on his side, his car wasn't going anywhere. He asked for a beer while he was just hanging around and took a tow to the pit road. Bill?
That's just hard. That's a hard way to get taken out of a race, or at least have your race ruined. You gotta be aware of where you are. You just can't back your car across the track.
Well, it sounds like, or looks like rather, Brian Barnes has lost a position to Jimmy Jones somewhere along the line that we missed, as Jones is now in front, as you can see on your screen, of that McLaren, and way wide for Brian Barnes there coming through Blanchimont, now braking for the bus stop, and nobody's making any attempts. Let's see if somebody can get a good run out of the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, and what you just saw Brian Barnes do there, run out onto that fake grass lookalike green AstroTurf, that's something you don't want to do, because that can be very slick as snot, and if you get all four wheels in there on it and you hit the gas pedal at the wrong time, it can snap your car around and you can Kimi Räikkönen it into the wall.
Absolutely, and I saw another roof in the pits. That's JD Snyder, actually, that was heading in there. But this battle that we're staying on is between Jimmy Jones and Carl Burke. Jones somehow has found the pace now after early on starting to lose positions, closing up on the Kimmel Straight. That draft is pulling him in. Is he going to get an opportunity into Lecum? He takes a look, but as they break, he's not close enough. Slots back into line, and no damage done.
Kevin Knodel went for a spin in the bus stop last lap and couldn't get his car pointing around the right direction again. He lost 40 seconds, it looks like, just trying to get back onto the circuit.
Not a good day for Kevin at this point, I'd say, with those two incidents close within each other. We watch him head down the pit straight past the start-finish line, completing yet another lap. We are currently sitting on lap 10 at the moment. We've got 2 hours left to go, so we're not even, I believe, a sixth of the way through this thing at this point. We've these guys with a number of cars, it seems at this point, out of this 24-car field have gotten damage of some sort, or had to go in and take their spare cars. So these guys are going to have to be a little bit more careful if they're wanting to make it to the finish.
Yeah, it really seems like a three-horse race we got here with Huff, Pfeiffer, and Gardner. They're still within 6 seconds of each other up in the front. 6, 7 spread out over 2.5 hours is almost nothing. So it's interesting. Now, the question is whether Carl Burke maybe is holding up Jones and Barnes, because they've been behind them for quite a while.
Yeah, they've certainly been slowing each other up with the battling that's been going on between these three guys. But we'll have to see if one of them could maybe start to get past and stretch away. Then maybe something will happen. Just ahead of them, though, I see a battle going on. That's between Dalton Petrillo and Gary Nichols. Or is that, I think, are they on the... Yes, they are on the same lap. So this is for position as Petrillo looks to the outside at La Source, and they've got all these cars coming behind them. Woo, very close moment between Burke and that Balksburg's exit, which means that Jimmy Jones is going to be right on his bumper, but he's not going to be able to do anything coming up to Eau Rouge. Let's see if he can get a run coming out of it, maybe make a pass into La Source, Sam.
Yeah, down the Camel Straight. Oh, and off goes Jimmy Jones. He's going to have to do a slowdown for that, and Brian Barnes is going to say thank you very much. Or at least I think Jimmy Jones would have to pull over and serve a penalty. Maybe not. He gets lucky. And as he works his way around the lap car of Gary Nichols and Danny Petrillo there. So lap traffic beginning to become a factor. And Brian Barnes is going to lose out a bit here being held up. That's going to allow Burke and Jones to run away a little bit.
Now, remember, Barnes had that off a little bit earlier on coming through Lecum, and he's already caught these guys. So either their battling is slowing them up significantly, or Barnes is on a little bit better pace than these guys.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Joe. I think Barnes, if he could get around these guys, would be interesting to see if he can close the distance into third place into Gardner.
Just a quick reminder, don't forget you can contact us in the booth on Twitter at GSR channel throughout the race. We'll take questions and try to answer them live on air. Also, let us know, we've heard, plenty of rumors about Kevin Brown's past. Let us know what rumors you've heard about Kevin Brown's past. We'd love to hear those.
Yeah, Twitter, a very engaging, exciting tool via social media. In fact, I think many of us have become Twitter-pated, as the old Bambi saying would say. And, I was told the other day that was Kevin Brown's grandfather that shot Bambi's mum.
That's a fact I did not know, actually. There's a lot of kids that wouldn't be too happy about that. And actually, interestingly, Kevin Brown's father is out here, John Brown, and interestingly enough, he's sitting in 10th, just behind his son. So obviously closely paced. Maybe they're trading secrets.
And third place driver Joshua Gardiner actually spun his roof in the bus stop last lap around, but was able to continue in third place because he had an 11-second lead over fourth place driver Carl Burke.
Before that, though, it was maybe 2 or 3 seconds between himself and Jimbo Pfeiffer, but he's lost all that ground, all that hard work. So if he was hoping maybe to try and jump him in the pits, that's certainly gone at this point. And just look at that fog on screen. You can see how difficult it is to see down the Kimmel Straight with Gardner working his way up towards and through the Lacombe chicane. So even though they can see up close, it's a little bit tougher to see way down the line, especially if there's any tire smoke or anything like that that's just going to hurt the visibility all the more for these guys. So they've been starting to spread out. A few guys are already going laps down. Obviously, Joseph Ryan is out of this race. J.D. Snyder, Stephen Paulison, Gary Nichols, Dalton Petrillo all have gone laps down already, and we are only 11 laps in. Go ahead.
Another one. John Brown just spun in at the exit in the bus stop, and now Aaron Stowe just did, and that's the second time he's spun in that turn. I'm wondering if there's a really hot girl down there watching from the bus stop, and they're all trying to do donuts in front of her to impress her. I don't know, but everyone seems to be spinning at the exit of a bus stop right now.
Okay, Sam, clearly you broke your leg a while back. Clearly you are on too heavy a dosage of pain medicine.
Well, his mind seems to be at least very inventive at the moment. Aaron Stowe is sitting in 17th place out there. We're looking at John Brown, though, in his McLaren. I hear there's a bit of controversy on his car choice. I understand that he is a stout BMW man. The fact that he's in a McLaren surprised a few people.
Yeah, I believe Kevin said he held a time record at a track that he did in the BMW one time. I can't remember what BMW said it was. I forgot for clarification. Was that the fastest track record or slowest?
Ooh, them's fighting words there. I believe that was Portland Raceway, actually, that he held that record at out there on the West Coast. Meanwhile, his son, Kevin Brown, closing up on Dalton Petrillo, the lapped car, but just ahead of them is Corey Peters. He's been fighting with Corey for most of the day. If he can get past this lap car as he goes wide off track at the bus stop and loses ground, so this is not going to help his opportunity to try and move himself up into that 8th position as we ride on board with Corey Peters.
Sounds like a good idea for a sitcom. It's the Peters and Brown show. That is certainly what we are seeing here. This battle is now for 8th. It was for 7th earlier, so I guess someone got by both of them. But as you say, a lap time between them right now, so it's not on. So currently a bit of a commercial break in the Peters and Brown show. But we'll be back after a couple of breaks for them and get to resume the battle, hopefully.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that Dalton isn't pulling over to let him by, and you can see Brown really wants to try and get past there. Now he slips on by and is going to be able to move himself into a closer position to get past Corey Peters, and it sounds like it was facilitated a bit by Dalton into the braking zone of Lacombe. But still, look at that gap between those two BMWs currently in 8th and 9th. He's going to have to push a little bit harder to close it up and trying to get that yellow and white car.
Back up, you don't need to break away from the X, but just to keep you guys informed of 4th, 5th, and 6th. Burke, Jones, and Barnes are still in the same position. You know, Brian Barnes keeps getting up behind him and making a mistake, drops back a few seconds, picks up a couple more seconds, gets back up behind him again, makes another mistake. He's got to get around these guys.
Yeah, and you know, that's a part of this endurance racing, though, is minimizing these mistakes. The guys that are keeping clean, keeping it within the track for the longest period of time and rifling off those fast, consistent laps are the ones that tend to be up front. Guys like Ryan Huff currently leading by a whole 6 seconds ahead of Jimbo Pfeiffer. And meanwhile, Josh Gardner, who has had a spin, down to 13 seconds behind the leader. So that just gives you an idea after about a half an hour into this race. In fact, just about exactly a half an hour into this race, 13-second difference. That shows you that you really got to stay in it and stay focused.
Well, see, that 13 seconds is a little misleading because he did have a spin. I think Gardner has been pretty close to the pace of Huff and Pfeiffer up there. So, like you said, you got to keep it clean. It's going to be awfully hard to pick up those 6 seconds that he lost if he's only gaining in a tenth a lap, you know?
Well,
Well-
speaking of which, he just had a huge cut through Eau Rouge.
Oh, and that's very unfortunate that he's going to have to slow down for that and lose several tenths, because actually he had an outstanding last lap. Ryan Huff ran a 2:17.5. Joshua Gardiner, even on old tyres, ran a 2:17.0. So he was actually able to take half a second out of Ryan Huff last lap, but then blows it all there. I don't know where he found that time. Maybe he put a blindfold on over in the bus stop so he didn't see the hot girl. I don't know, but Joshua Gardiner had a really good lap, and hopefully he'll be able to put this lap behind him and start clicking out more of those.
And you can see Josh in that blue and orange roof with the very interesting looking green rims on the car. He goes all the way to the edge of the track using every little inch. Maybe that's how he's getting these fast laps, and he is not afraid to really take it up to the limit, it seems. Meanwhile, as we hop on board with Josh, let's see if we can get a better idea, see how he's doing on these laps. Bouncing it off the curbs. You can just see his helmet in the mirror there, looking at the apexes as he works his way around Spa, coming through Curva Paul Frere, now up towards the backstretch, towards Blanchimont. Very fast portion of the circuit, and you can see just how gloomy of a day it is through here. Hopefully the grip is up enough that he can make it through this thing nice and tidy.
Pop open the...
Oh no! And Josh Gardner's off! Josh Gardner is into the wall!
And he will have to use one of his free repairs. Now, the good news about this is it happened right in front of pit road. He's only got to do 2 more turns. He'll be able to get down pit road. Hopefully his car is handling well enough that he'll be able to get down there. And he stays out. Amazing!
And he hasn't lost a position, but that was a hard thwack into the wall. Hopefully his steering is okay. Carl Burke has closed up right behind him, and look at Jimmy Jones already kind of peeking around thinking maybe this guy's going to be held up a little bit by this surprise suddenly in front of us. So 3rd, 4th, and 5th position all in a row after Josh Gardner makes multiple mistakes and continues to lose ground on the leaders of Jimbo Pfeiffer and Ryan Huff.
How would he know his car was not damaged? He got on the AstroTurf and slammed it into the wall.
Look at this. He's straight line speed, just stalling out at 150 miles an hour. He has nothing to defend.
Yeah.
Carl Burke should be able to go right by him, and if Jimmy Jones can't do it in this twisty part of the circuit, next time they get on the straight, he should be able to pull up and fall.
Yeah, I was shocked too because he had no way of telling whether his car was okay or not. He had one turn through half of the bus stop and then just decided, good enough, and bypassed the pit.
Well, maybe
he's
got
racing enough. He was taking a look into no-name corner there to try and get past Burke, but didn't have anything through there. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think he's good through the twisty parts, but like Sam said, he doesn't have the straight line speed. You know, maybe the hit knocked him silly a little bit, and it's going to take him a lap or two to clear his head.
Apparently. Well, meanwhile, just behind him, he's fast enough that he's dropping Jimmy Jones ever so slightly.
Yeah. He's hanging in there.
Yeah, it's a twisty part of the circuit, but I think this battle has gotten too silly. Let's go back and have a look at the Peters and Brown show. Like I say, I popped some popcorn. This is my favourite show. Brown was challenging Peters early on. He's not challenging him now. And actually, maybe we needed to go back to the silliness because this battle's actually opened up a little bit.
Yeah, well...
although Peters got very loose there, and here goes Brown. He's down the inside, up into 7th place. Oh, sorry, 8th place.
Excellent move, but this is probably not where he wanted to be because now Peters has a run with the draft coming behind him up towards Blanchimont. He stays defensive, not trying to give him a chance to get to the inside. Now they fly through Blanchimont. Are they both going to stay nice and tidy? Yes, they do. Heading up into the braking zone of the bus stop. Brown goes slightly defensive but comes back to the line. Nothing doing for Peters. He has lost the position. Excellent opportunistic stuff from Kevin Brown.
And Bill, let's go back to you because it looks like this battle for fourth is about to heat up. And we know Joshua Gardiner does not have a straight line speed down the Eau Rouge Camel Straight section.
Well, I am impressed with how well he's doing. And it might be that Burke maybe just doesn't have the pace that he's been holding up Jones and Barnes as well. So maybe now Gardner can able to stay on his tail.
Jones has a slowdown.
Yeah, he was way off in Eau Rouge there. He
Well,
was over in Luxembourg.
he doesn't have to worry too much because Brian Barnes is actually well far back because Jimmy Jones is already to the chicane, and now Brian Barnes is just now reaching it, so there's not much for him to do. Meanwhile, Josh Gardner is just about barely holding on to the back of Carl Burke as now we switch back. I'm sorry, we switched away for just
Gardner lost it. He got
commentators
loose.
curse with Gardner today. We need to stop talking about him.
Yeah, he came around and it got loose on him, so I think he gave up those 2 positions now.
Yeah, meanwhile, let's talk about giving up. Jimbo Pfeiffer, I went back and had a look at his last lap. He lost 3 seconds on his last lap. I didn't see any particular moment in particular, but he has gone from being about 6 seconds back of Ryan Huff to 9 seconds back. So that's still within striking distance if anything happened to Huff, but certainly not something Pfeiffer would want to have had happen.
Well, yeah, maybe Pfeiffer is considering that maybe he can just take it easy. He's got a whole, let's see, what is it, about 19 seconds or something like that between himself and Carl Burke. So as a car spins in front of him, who is that? That's actually J.D. Snyder, who's stuck it into the barriers coming out of the bus stop, trying to get it turned around now. Thankfully, he's got a clear track onto the AstroTurf, and away he goes, probably a little bit flatter on one side of his car as we watch the replay.
And the worst thing about that is it happened right after pit entry. He's going very slow down as they go into La Source. I think his car's damaged. He's got to do a whole 7 kilometers before he can get it repaired.
Yeah, it certainly looks like he's taken it very easy to get this car around. And he is actually sitting in last place on track with Joseph Ryan out. 23rd is the last position for poor J.D. Snyder, as you can see him now live going through Eau Rouge very gingerly and giving plenty of berth. And just behind him, look at Carl Burke going around the outside, not willing to slow down for anything.
Oh, and Jimmy Jones, his engine's gone.
Yeah, I heard.
His engine is smoking.
I was watching Joshua Gardner, and I heard Jones blow up right behind him.
That wasn't a blow up. He backed it into the wall. Or no, he didn't back it into the wall. He slammed it front way into the wall. That's interesting. They hurt the engine from the front. We're watching the replay now. That was coming out of La Source. You can see him following Josh Gardner, trying to find his way past. And let's see, you'll see coming out of the exit here. Looks like just a little too soon on the gas on that AstroTurf and straight into those concrete barriers.
Oh, but he's trying to do a whole lap around the track. I almost wonder whether he should have just taken a tow from the front stretch where it would have been really quick to have towed his car to pit road, because if it blows up around here, he's going to be about 3 or 4. Oh, and he spins
it again.
coming out of No Name Turn. This is a bad idea. This is about as bad as jumping off of your balcony to go to work.
Well, I think he's actually got the right idea, because if he just tried to exit his car, he wouldn't be able to get right to his pit because he was on the front straight at that point, and the pit exit is well before that, so it would have towed him around for the entirety of that lap, which would have been something like 6 minutes or so lost for him. So he's probably going to be quicker trying to wheel this car around, although he's causing a few people some headaches, including Howard Wendell trying to work his way past, now finally getting past in the Fannies chicane. So he's just got to watch out for some of these cars that are going to be coming up very quickly behind him.
Well, just to follow up, Gardner's looped it, and I thought he was going to lose those positions, but I forgot that Jimmy Jones had a slowdown penalty. So he didn't lose his positions, and Gardner's coming into the pits right now. So he's running in 4th place, still ahead of Barnes and Bennett.
No, I believe Barnes has passed him.
Well, I think because Gardner's in the pits.
There you go. Yes, Gardner's finally taken his pit stop. 18 laps in. We were told about 26 laps for the BMWs, at least. I don't know if that's going to be the same for all the cars. One who we can just catch a glimpse of, there he goes, going by. Kevin Brown sitting in 7th. This should bump him up to 6th, I believe, with the pit stop cycling through for Josh Gardner. And with that opportunistic move earlier, I was reminded, speaking of opportunities, once I heard that he earned a manure franchise, Kevin Brown.
And I've got to give credit to Jimmy Jones. He has made it around the pit road. I never doubted him for a second.
I'm sure you didn't. That smoking car working its way towards his pit stall, and you can see, well, actually, we're not on him. We're on Kevin Brown right now, working his way. Now we are looking at Jimmy Jones, or at least what should be Jimmy Jones, through the wall of the pit exit. And now we are looking at, yeah, we can see some other cars getting worked on. That's Josh Gardner getting some new tires. That car is not floating. It is actually up on jacks right now. Even though it might look like it's mysteriously floating. Just behind him you can see, I'm not sure who that is, but now Jimmy Jones comes into frame. That is, who is that in front of him actually? That's JD Snyder still sitting in his stall. But look at how long it is taking Jimmy Jones to get down this pit lane. So this is why these guys are going to want to have to minimize how many pit stops they can do if they can help it.
See, now Gardner's out of the pits. He's loose coming out. Maybe the tires are cold. I can't imagine they did much repairs on that car. So, my goodness, is he going to drive a car that's going to be off speed for the next 2 hours?
Well, don't forget they have 2 free repairs, and if you go into the pit and into your pit stall, if you have any damage, it automatically gives you your spare car. So boom. Josh Gardner is ready to go at this point. Fresh car.
Okay, well then I don't think he's in that bad a shape because after he put it in the wall, he was still running decent lap times. So now if he has a fresh car, I think he's looking okay.
Currently sitting in 15th place. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, meanwhile, let's get an eye on this battle forming for 5th position. Brian Burnett and Kevin Brown, who, funny enough, talking about number 5, almost became a 5th member of the Beatles once. Brian Burnett gets a little loose there, and on the exit, let's see the lap times as they come across the line. Brian at 2 minute 19.3, Kevin at 2 minute 18.4. He was able to take about a second off Burnett there. We may soon see Kevin Brown up in the top 5.
Don't forget, though, that the start-finish line is coming up here, so their timing and scoring should update around that point instead of back at the GP version as they work their way through Eau Rouge. Bennett taking a nice, tidy line, and Brown following him through. Let's see if he's close enough to try and reel him in with that draft.
Oh, man! Howie Windell had a big crash a couple of turns ago, and as he was trying to limp his car back around, Steve Paulison didn't hit him. Steve Paulison actually just lost control of his car in a separate incident. But yeah, lots of damage on Windell's Monster Energy BMW there.
And we're catching just the glimpse of the end of that replay. It took him a long time to get turned around, it looks like, actually. So we might have to skip pretty far back to see what exactly that incident was. Meanwhile,
Andy Webster goes for a spin out of La Source. I'll tell you what, we're only about 6 or 7 laps away until a green flag pit stop. Green flag, this whole race is under green flag, until scheduled pit stops should be beginning. I'm wondering if these cars are beginning to burn off their rear tires, Joe.
That is potentially what could be going on. Howie Windell, however, is going to be able to get back in for his spare car as he reaches the pit entry. We're still on that replay. You can see him trying to get his car turned around still. But let's jump back to live and
let's go up to Kevin Brown here. He's running down Brian Bennett in the McLaren. Going to be for a top 5 spot here.
Yeah, he's getting ever closer now as we hop on board with Kevin coming up to Blanchimont. Fast left-hand blast through this corner and just completely missed the apex for Brian Bennett. That's allowed Kevin to close up once again, braking for the bus stop. Cars accordion together. Look at the flames spitting out of the back of that McLaren, but don't focus too long. Try to get a good exit coming out of the bus stop. Gets a decent one, but not close enough to make a pass into La Source.
Now, if you remember, Barnes and Bennett were battling, and they were nose to tail for a while. Barnes has put on a nice 5-second margin between him and Bennett for 4th and 5th. We'll keep an eye on those guys who came into pit and see how they come out when the pit cycle runs its course.
And I see that Delton Petrillo has come in for his 2nd stop. So I guess that first one was unscheduled, as he seems to be pitting about the same time that everybody else is on this next part. And not sure exactly what caused that first one.
No, but I'll tell you what, it's impressive to still see 23 out of a 24 starters in this race, knocking on wood that doesn't change anytime soon. But yeah, it's still keeping an eye on this battle for 5th, and our director's correcting me that Kevin Brown was not a part of the Beatles, he was a part of the Brown Beatles, which I guess is American for cockroaches. So Kevin Brown was almost a 5th member of the cockroaches, my apologies.
Well, we are currently sitting on board with Bennett, still looking back at Brown, trying to hunt him down as they work their way into Puan, and he spins! He spins completely off into the runoff, and Kevin Brown is gifted another position.
And it looked like rear tires again. I think Sam may have called it there.
Yeah, keen observation from Ryman on that one, so it seems like these guys have got to be careful about how much they spin the tires, especially out of these slower corners. Maybe that traction control on these cars will come in handy for some guys.
Kevin Canoodle in the pits, and once again going down this very long pit road. In fact, he may even have some time to boil some noodles while he's at it. He is currently running in 15th position of our 24 cars.
So not too bad, and as you can see on the screen, we've got an hour and 30 minutes left to go. So guys, we have almost hit the 1 hour mark on this thing. We're getting closer to being halfway through this very difficult and challenging race.
Yeah, let's give a quick rundown of the top 10 here. Ryan Huff is in the lead by over 12 seconds to Jimbo Pfeiffer. Carl Burke, Brian Barnes, and Kevin Brown round out the top 5. Then we got Corey Peters, so still got the Peters and Brown show going on there. Brian Burnett has came out of the pits in 7th. John Brown is in 8th. Gino Scarpino Sr. is in 9th, and Wayne Hutchinson is in 10th. Obviously, the order a little shooken up due to some cars pitting, some cars not.
Boy, I have to tell you, Bill, that name, Gino Scarpino, that just sounds like a racer's name to me. I picture someone driving a Ferrari in that one.
Oh, he's got to be in a red car, doesn't he? What a great name. And Gino Carpino Sr. Somewhere there's a Gino Carpino Jr. who's even faster, I think.
Well, right now, as he gets a little bit of a wheel spin, we were just talking about it. They got to watch out for that. He is in the top 10, which is a handy little position, at least in the top half of this field here in the Northwest Majors Club. And now we have hopped over to who are we? We're watching the leader, I believe, actually.
Yeah, let's watch Joshua Gardiner, because he's working his way through slower traffic right now on that newer tyres. He has just gone by William Fletcher for 11th position. He also passed Chris Speck in that blue McLaren that lap. So 2 spots for Gardiner there. He's really going to try. I mean, he's not putting on stellar lap times, but he's putting on lap times better than the cars in the mid-pack are doing.
Now, Sam, do you think Gardner is the highest ranked car that has made a pit? Does anyone above him have pitted already? Hutchinson, Scarpino?
Brian Burnett spun. That's right. Brian Burnett did not pit. He spun. So yeah, I would say he is, Bill. I think correct.
I think that's our benchmark there to see if. And it was going to be interesting. He's a minute and 58 back behind the leaders, but he's about only a minute behind like Kevin Brown and those guys. So I'm not sure what the time, how much you lose going into the pits. We'll have to keep an eye when those guys go in, see how Gardner comes out, because he was running with them before he started the pit.
Let's give a shout out to Aaron Stowe again. He is currently running in 15th position, a lap down. He has had that front end damage onto that yellow and blue BMW all race long. He's been able to keep it on track though, put on quite good lap times, and 21 laps into this race he is finally coming in and getting that repaired. I think it's going to look weird to him, Joe, looking out the front end of his car and seeing a hood on it.
Yeah, well, as he finally hits his marks, he should be getting a free repair as we hop on board. And interestingly, his car is not going up, so he must think that his tires are okay. He's only taking fuel. This is interesting. I'm wondering, I would think...
These cars take a long time to refuel. I would take tires. That does seem weird.
And I don't think he has to worry about them heating up. I mean, they do take a little bit because they are a little squirrely when you come out of the pits on those cold tires, but they don't take they may be like half a lap or a lap, and they're all heated up. Now he takes off. You can see that car has that yellow hood back on it now, instantly pops into place, and he is good to go. But how good are those tires?
Well, if he got a free car, would he not get new tires with that as well?
No, not unless you select it.
Oh.
If his car did not go up on the jacks, he did not get free tires.
Well, he almost coming off of pit road right there. Turned the pit limiter off, and his rear tires almost turned him into a wall. So I don't know if that's here. Magic
Howard
does that, turns into a wall.
Howard Wendell has just put it literally into the wall.
So let's see if we can see what's going on with him. Yeah, he was. Let's watch this replay. Actually, where was this on the track? This is unusual. I can't tell where in the world he is.
Meanwhile, leader Ryan Huff is in.
On the replay, it looks like I'm actually not sure where in the world on that track that is, but you can see he's got a little bit of a glitch, and he's got a tire going through the Armco there. But like you said, back into the pits, getting a spare car. I'm not sure if he's already used one of them.
Leader is in the pits.
Aha! So we're gonna get a feel for things here. Where is Josh Gardner? Coming around Rivage at the moment for Josh Gardner. He has got a long way up to Ryan Huff. He was already quite a ways back. I believe he was something like 26 seconds behind the leader before his pit stop. And the pit stop bogey times is a minute and some at least, we know. So it's not probably going to be terribly close, but this should give us an inkling of where our leaders are after the pits.
You know, there are some things we haven't discussed during this broadcast, and one of them is what are the pit times going to be like between the different cars? They're all racing in the same class. Does a Porsche refuel quicker than a BMW? Does a BMW refuel quicker than a McLaren? I'm not entirely sure. That's going to be something... We're not going to find that out now between Ryan Huff and Joshua Gardner because they're both in roofs. But Ryan Huff only had about 10 seconds in front of Jimbo Pfeiffer, who's not in the Porsche. So maybe there could be a timing difference there.
And while you were talking, Brian Bennett looped it again just right in front of the start-finish line. So he's having trouble in that McLaren.
They can be a little tricky over some of the curbs. They aren't very friendly with some of them. As it starts to bounce around, you got to stay off the gas. And he might have been getting a little bit greedy. Currently working his way through Lecumbe. He is on lap 23 with an hour and 30 minutes left to go in the race. So it looks like his car is still pretty whole, though, at least. So no harm, no foul.
Okay, Huff is out of the pits, so we'll keep an eye and see where he cycles through here.
Yes,
meanwhile, this puts Jimbo Pfeiffer into the lead.
Absolutely, although he has not pitted, so he will have to hand that over soon enough. Interesting how long some of these guys have been going. We did hear lap 26, so I guess that makes sense. I wonder, although nobody has made it to lap 26 at this point, so maybe there are some guys that could maybe try to one-stop this thing. I suspect some of these guys who stopped a little bit earlier, well, I don't suspect, in fact, I'm pretty sure that they are going to two-stop this race.
Yeah, I think this is a two-stop race. Even, you say there's about 1 hour and 30 minutes left. Even if a car comes in within the next 10 minutes or so, I think they're still going to have to stop again. But then again, I've been wrong. Haven't commentated to a 2 hour and 24-minute race at Spa-Francorchamps before.
And certainly not with these GT3 cars. Jimbo Pfeiffer has cycled up across the line into the lead, followed by Carl Burke in second, Kevin Brown in third, Brian Barnes in fourth, and Ryan Huff appears to be in fifth. No, he should be in sixth once everybody cycles through.
Yeah, and he's far ahead of Joshua Gardner. Joshua Gardner working his way. He's just coming out onto that straightaway section that leads around to Blanchimont. Meanwhile, Ryan Huff is already over at the source, so that's about 20-30 second lead over him right there.
Okay, Pfeiffer has a minute and 11 second lead on Huff. Is that enough time for him to come in, make his pit, and get out?
No, but I think that tells you the pit delta is about 1 minute and 20 seconds, so that is how long this pit road is.
Incredible stuff. So Ryan Huff continuing to work on through lap 24 as he gets ready to lap Chris Beck down the Kimmel Straight. Just breezes on by. Got a few other cars there in line, although they are have not pitted yet. And oh, just a bit of contact between Dalton Petrillo and who was that? David Freeboth.
Yeah, I was watching Joshua Gardner getting held up by Wayne Hutchinson in the battle between the Porsches there, but finally Wayne Hutchinson let him by. I didn't see the contact you were referring to, Joe. You got more on that?
Leaders
it looked like into the braking zone of Lecum. It was just David Freeboth, and it was front to back there between himself and I can't remember who the other car was actually.
Alright, Jimbo Pfeiffer is in, so now we're going to get an idea of how the BMW pit time is in comparison to the roof pit time. As Bill said, Jimbo Pfeiffer had 1 minute and 10 seconds over Ryan Huff, but Ryan Huff had about a 10-second lead before he came in. So, if the pit times are the same, that means Jimbo Pfeiffer will take 1 minute and 20 seconds to complete this entire run down pit road, his pit stop, and his run off of pit road, which means he will come out 10 seconds behind Ryan Huff. But that's an if, and that is a big if their pit stop times are the same. We don't actually know that. We're about to find out right now.
Well, Sam, does he actually, if he's going to have to pit again, does he actually need to take a full load? He could short pit and then take the full load next time.
Yeah, I would say if you're going to short pit on the second stop when you're closer to the end. You can make a more accurate guess at it.
This is very true, and we're hearing that Huff had a 32-second pit stop. Meanwhile, was that Jimbo? Yes, it was Jimbo Pfeiffer that we were talking about that was in. He is still sitting in his pit stall, and Huff is coming up to La Source now. I think this is going to be no contest. And interesting, did Pfeiffer go up at all? Did he go up on the jacks? He is not taking wheels or tires either. This is very interesting. They must be looking at the wear and thinking that the car is going to be okay. They might know something that we don't.
Could be an optical illusion with the hill like that. How long has Pfeiffer's stop been going on? There he goes.
He is losing a lot of ground to Huff. Huff is already to Lecum.
Yeah, that was a bad stop, or at least he certainly was. He was only 10 seconds behind when he went in before the pit stops, and he's going to be miles back.
Hey, something's happened. John Brown is in the pit. Oh, and he flips over, entering pit road. He apex hits the turn in La Source too quickly and does a complete rollover, puts it in reverse, gets going again. Wow, John Brown with a roly-poly on the pit entry.
We're watching the replay here of him. This is one of the most bizarre accidents, especially pit lane accidents, I think I've ever seen. This is more of a glitch, I think, than actual physics of reality here. Yeah, you can see that's a little bit of an unusual roll for that car. But he is going to get his spare car, I believe, since this is, I want to say, his first stop.
Yeah, it is, and we know Rollover Brownoven was one of the top songs made by the Cockroaches, but yeah, I don't think Brown probably lost more than 10 seconds throughout that whole ordeal.
So, not too much harm done. Where is his son, though? His son is currently in second place. Now, has Kevin Brown taken his stop? I don't believe he has.
No, Burke and Brown are still yet to pit. I think Barnes is yet to pit as well, so I see that hasn't cycled through yet.
Yeah, Burnett as well, so that's the four leaders have yet to pit.
Now, remember, although it sounds like 26 laps, which is exactly what Kevin Brown is on right now, excuse me, and we were told that 26 laps is what you can do. An hour and 12 minutes would be the halfway point. If you can make it to that, you can one-stop it. I don't think he's going to be able to stretch it if he's saying 26 laps is as far as you can go.
Now, am I correct, Joe, in that in the BMW you can adjust the fuel settings on your car to make or burn less fuel?
This is true. They do have different fuel settings on these cars. He could have changed that, but that will alter his pace just slightly. That would be an interesting strategy, and I love when guys play that strategy card, try something just a little bit different to see if it works out. Maybe Kevin's trying that, maybe not. We don't know quite yet. He is still in second place right now, currently scored behind Carl Burke, about 11-second gap between those two BMWs on track.
Well, to follow up on our Huff-Pfeiffer pit relationship, Pfeiffer's now behind Huff by 33 seconds, so whatever Pfeiffer did in the pits, it didn't work.
It could have been, we were talking about the different fuel stints as well. It could have been that Huff was taking less fuel as well. So Pfeiffer maybe is going for a longer stint here and going for a very short one at the end. Well, meanwhile, currently we have Jimbo Pfeiffer trying to hunt down Joshua Gardner. That is for 6th and 7th. You can see those two orange and blue cars as they head around No Name Corner down the plunge, and that is a car off track. Who is that? That was Randy Webster.
Meanwhile, the top two leaders have came in at the completion of lap 26. Carl Burke is in, Kevin Brown is in. Third place, Brian Barnes is in, and Ryan Huff has actually gone by Brian Burnett, but we'll see if Brian Burnett, who was in 4th place, will come in as well. So our leaders are down pit road.
Indeed, so making the long, achingly long trip down the pit lane to try and get to their stall. And Ryan Huff is actually heading past out of the bus stop into La Source right now, so he is going to scream on by, and I believe, Brian Barnes is in as well, so he is going to retake the lead this time by.
Yeah, and Brian Burnett stays out. What's the time clock say, Joe? How much of this race do we have left?
Hour and 22 minutes left to go.
Oh, no. I was wondering if Brian Burnett could be our one driver who could extend it and make a one-stop strategy, but I doubt that's going to be the case.
Yeah, he's going to have a long way to go. Has he actually stopped yet, though? That's another question.
No, he has not.
All right, well, I'll be impressed if he's able to stretch it to the end of this lap as well, actually, because from what I know, some of these other top guys are actually pretty good with fuel as we watch them work on their cars in pit road. We have no idea how much fuel they're putting in. The question is, has anybody taken tires? I haven't been able to watch closely to see.
Well, the drive I'm watching right now is Corey Peters, because these three drivers came in together, and we remember watching our favourite sitcom, The Peters and Brown Show, earlier. Peters is coming down the source right now, and actually these drivers have gained a lot of time over him. Carl Burke leading Kevin Brown, and actually Brian Barnes still stuck in his pit stall. So it looks like the BMWs are getting much better stops than the McLarens. Here comes Burke out. That is William Fletcher in the white car going by them both. That was for position. And Kevin Brown trying to get a run on Carl Burke and maybe challenge him for position soon. And there is Peters in the white and yellow car in distant background. Here goes Kevin Brown down the inside of Carl Burke and takes Carl Burke by surprise. Kevin Brown gets loose and loses both positions.
So, looking to take one very opportunistically. Oh, and look, a bobble from Carl Burke. This means that Peter might have another position, and he does as they break towards Rivage. Cleanly gets up the inside, drifts a little bit wide, but there's nothing they can do. And look at Kevin Brown sliding that car around. I think none of these guys took tires, and they are pushing just a little too hard on these cars.
Yeah, but this is Christmas and birthday on the same time for Peters. It looked like he was going to be behind them both, and then they got the battle in. Peters got by them both, and as they continue the battle with Kevin Brown and Carl Burke going at it, Hamilton's back there, Peters and Fletcher are going to be able to run away.
See, I don't think Peters was that far back at the pit exit. Remember, he had the momentum, and those guys didn't. He was already closing up the Kimmel Straight before that battle happened. He wasn't going to be more than a second behind them. So he was actually just about on time. It was these guys' mistakes out of the pits that really gave that up.
Yeah, we're also getting word that Peters had a fast pit stop. Meanwhile, talking about pit stops, Brian Burnett is in his McLaren, and it seems that McLarens have been having some of longer pit stops today.
And with Bennett coming in, that's really the last of our top drivers who have come into pit for their first time.
Yeah, and as they cycle through, it is going to be Ryan Huff in first, followed by Josh Gardner in second, and Jimbo Pfeiffer in third. Carl Burke, actually, no, he has dropped down. It's going to be Peters who is in fifth, followed by Brown, then by Burke, as now it updates. No, Burke is ahead of Brown. What I'm seeing. Nope, I'm sorry, it updated. Our timing is lined up to the start-finish line, so that's why we're getting some incorrect information. Have to wait for cars to go by that stripe.
Oh, and I made the mistake of assuming William Fletcher had already pit. I guess he had not, because he's down pit road now.
Indeed, so it seems like the last of the guys that were stretching it as far as they could go couldn't quite make it a one stop are now into the pits as I saw a car off in the background behind Jimbo Pfeiffer. Who was that? I think that was Gary Nichols? Yeah, that was Gary Nichols off at Rivage. So, we are just about to the halfway point, so let's actually take a short break ourselves now that everybody has completed their pit stops and we've seen some of that strategy play out. We'll be back in just a moment, so don't go away for the final half. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps, where we are watching a battle between Corey Peters and Kevin Brown. This is for 4th position. Kevin takes a look on the wrong side of the track, and a mistake going wide from Corey Peters. That's going to allow Kevin Brown to sneak around the outside of Fanges. Is he going to have it? He's going to have the inside of the next corner and slots in ahead of him. Doesn't need to even outbrake that BMW. Just behind them, though, is Carl Burke, and he is looking to demote Peters yet another position. So this has become the Peters, Burke, and Brown show here now.
They always add in new characters as the series progresses, and sometimes it loses entertainment, but this one seems to have gained a little bit of entertainment. Meanwhile, someone who has really had not a whole lot of entertainment today, kind of just enjoying a Sunday evening drive, is Ryan Huff. He is really...
But up the inside goes Burke, and he is going to have the spot into the bus stop. So Peters, 2 positions in a single lap, and he is down to 6th.
Yeah, Corey Peters had himself up to 4th position kind of quietly in there. I go, how he snuck his way up there. Maybe just to recap also, Gardner came out ahead of Pfeiffer after the pit stops, but Pfeiffer has got around him now for 2nd place, so it's up Pfeiffer and Gardner running 1, 2, 3. But Pfeiffer and Gardner are really close.
In fact, now that this battle between Peters and Burke is over, let's run through the field real quick. Ryan Huff, as we said, has been leading, and dominantly so, for most of the race, currently ahead by over 30 seconds to the next car in line, and we still got over an hour left in this race. Behind him, Jimbo Pfeiffer, we mentioned earlier, came out in 3rd after his pit stop, or at least his first pit stop. We believe he'll have to make another, and has worked his way up into 2nd after a mistake from Gardner. Gardner, Sam, this guy has had a few mistakes along the way. In fact, the last one lost him that 2nd position, but also had to get his car repaired after a big moment in Washtenaw.
Yeah, maybe Gardner needs to change his name to Joshua Racer, because he seems to enjoy gardening today. But going off a few times, but I'll tell you what, he's had a very strong pace. Him and Pfeiffer are coming out of here with the 2nd and the 3rd. Sure, it's not going to be a win, but they are drivers that we have regularly seen in this series, and they're going to be trying to get up in championship, because one thing we haven't mentioned today, all these drivers competing in the same class means it's a full 50 points for the winner, and I believe 40 points for 2nd, so big points on the line for a good finish here today at Spa-Francorchamps.
That's for sure, and just behind them in 4th, it's Kevin Brown, who we recently saw him move himself up into that position. Now, Kevin Brown qualified in 10th, so he has jumped a long ways up, and he has found pace throughout this race. Now, he has admitted beforehand he didn't have a lot of practice, so that might explain his bad qualifying position, but he's certainly been coming to the fore as the race has progressed and has just been picking cars off, although he has not been without mistakes of his own. Just behind him, Carl Burke, also sort of a similar situation. He started in 8th, currently sitting in 5th, and worked his way up to the lead pack, was battling with a number of guys, was in a big train early on in the race, but has not been able to keep back Kevin Brown, who is on a charge. Still sitting in the top 5 out of 24 cars starting and 23 left still in the race. That is not a bad position. Just behind him, Bill, Corey Peters, like you said, having just a bit of a quiet race, but it's a little bit too long for him, as he was not able to hold on to some of those positions by just keeping steady and consistent. So it looks like he has got to work a little bit harder if he wants a few of those positions he lost.
Well, I don't know. I think his strategy is working for him. I think if he plays it cool, he's going to look for those guys to make a mistake ahead of him and see if he can sneak a top 5 out of here.
Oof, and he had a huge moment trying to sneak back. Who was that? William Fletcher spinning coming out of Lake Coombe.
That's how you get to the end here. I like that. That's another bullet dodged by Corey Peters. That's his strategy. I'm going to keep my eye on Corey.
Absolutely. In 7th, it's Brian Barnes. We've talked about him just a little bit here and there. He's had a few moments, but he has dropped significantly back from this pack that he was battling with early on. He has lost his pace. He is about 16 seconds behind Corey Peters, who is still in 6th. So the 7th place McLaren of Brian Barnes kind of running all by his lonesome at the moment. Just behind him, another guy that has dropped off the map a little bit, Sam, is Jimmy Jones. We saw him well up into the top 5 battling early on with a lot of these guys, and he is now sitting in 8th.
Yeah, he is, and a bit of a different story for the driver behind him, Brian Burnett, I would say. Brian Burnett, he started in 9th and he is currently still in 9th, but it looked like he was running a bit further back than that. It was really pit strategy that has helped Brian Burnett get up there. He was one of the ones to go longest on his last stint and has been able to hold 9th. And then let's give a shout out to Wayne Hutchinson, currently rounding out the top 10 in 10th place. He started 15th, so he has picked up 5 positions on his way up to 10th. And we're over half distance here, Joe. We've still got one more round of pit stops to go, so the order will still get shaken up a little bit, in my opinion, before the end of this race.
And I'm going to jump in and take the 11th because I want to say this name one more time. Gino Scarpino in 11th place, having a nice, quiet race. Just one spot out of the top 10. And we'll go back more and more. Wrap out the top dozen is Aaron Stowe.
Oh, Jimmy Jones goes for a spin.
Oof, one more mistake from Jones, and that was coming out of the bus stop.
Yeah, what? No harm, no foul there, because we didn't lose a position. So let's go back to Aaron Stowe. And like we say, Wayne Hutchinson 10th, Gino Scarpino Sr. in 11th. And Aaron Stowe here in 12th, actually in the battle with Chris Beck for 13th in the blue McLaren, not too far behind. Let's remember, Aaron Stowe did about the first third of his race without a hood on his car, and he has raced his way up into 12th position. So, knocking on wood, this is a marvellous race by Aaron so far today, especially if he could potentially pull a top 10 out of this.
Well, he started 14th, so he has at least gotten 2 positions out of this thing so far. As you mentioned, Chris Beck just behind him. We haven't seen a lot of Chris Beck. He's had a very anonymous race, but he shouldn't because he started 19th, so he's jumped up 6 positions since the start of this thing in that little blue and black McLaren. Just obviously a bit of the Corey Peters method, just quietly working his way through the field. Just behind him, 14th, it's John Brown, the father of Kevin Brown, sitting higher up in the field. Another McLaren that actually he started higher. He started in 11th. He's had a lot of troubles along the way and has dropped down as the race is going on. So this has not been John Brown's day, obviously. And as I say that, commentators curse.
Yeah, while that's going on, I will briefly mention that his son, Kevin Brown, is actually about to have a battle for 4th with Carl Burke, who has seemed to have ran him down in his red BMW.
Yes, closed up on the back into the bus stop, not close enough to make anything happen there. We've seen in the past that mistakes will cause someone behind you to close up very quickly, especially if you're exiting onto one of these very long straights. You need every inch of oomph that these cars can give in their horsepower.
Is that a technical term? Inch of oomph?
Yes, very technical. Go ask an engineer.
That's torque and oomph.
So let's hop back to John Brown because it seems like Burke has actually lost it a bit. So Brown sitting in 14th, just behind him, actually quite a ways back behind him, is Randy Webster. And by the way, we have gone well into the cars that are a lap down. The last car in the lead lap is Jimmy Jones sitting in 8th. There are a number of cars that have been passed by the leader. But Randy Webster sitting in 15th. This guy, haven't seen a whole lot of him. He qualified in 25th. He didn't put in a qualifying lap. So apparently his pace is a little bit better than his non-qualifying lap implies. So Randy Webster doing a decent job, although his front looks a little bit worse for the weather at this point in the race. Must have ran into the back of someone at some point, or maybe kissed the wall ever so slightly. Then we hop down to 16th, and it's William Fletcher, Sam.
Yeah, William Fletcher and Kevin Canodal. We're talking about drivers here who have had some minor incidents in the race, nothing too much. So Kevin Canodal running 17th. Meanwhile, I'm continuing to watch this battle between Kevin Brown and Carl Burke, because Burke has actually caught Brown back up in this squiggly portion of the circuit. Another technical term along with the word oomph. Obviously, Spa-Francorchamps, a circuit where you like oomph to get the power down the straight. Another circuit where oomph comes in handy is the Sepang circuit in Malaysia, where you really need that oomph. And let's just say it's an oomph-a-lump. I can't quite say it.
Well, this battle is actually closing up.
I was trying to make a joke, but I'm terrible at that. That's why
we need to hop back to this battle between Carl Berg.
Kevin Brown in front of Carl Berg. He's far in front of him now, but there's certainly some overtaking opportunities coming up for Carl here.
Sorry about that. He was really closing up on the back coming up to Blanchimont, and now he's dropped it, unfortunately. I wonder if the backwash of the air coming off of Brown's car is really making it difficult to try and make that pass happen. Maybe maybe Burke is relying on just a little bit more downforce.
Maybe. I mean, I believe these open setups they're running. It could be a slight difference between Kevin and Carl's setup.
Definitely could be. They're both running the same car, that BMW Z4, as they come over the crest of Radillion, now up onto the Kimmel Straight. He is not nearly close enough to make anything happen, although it looks like he got a pretty good run because he's already closing in, even though he's not terribly close behind.
Yeah, and just so our viewers know that we're not missing anything, this is the best battle on the circuit right now. 5 seconds still separate Jimbo Pfeiffer and Joshua Gardner. 35 seconds still separate Ryan Huff and Jimbo Pfeiffer. And surely Kevin's going to try and really fight hard to hold on to fourth here, Joe, because he's not running for points. He's running for positions and just for entertainment. It doesn't look like he's going to get the win today, but certainly if a car in front of him makes a mistake, he's going to want to try and get a podium position. So surely Kevin's going to try and hold on as hard as he can here. And I know, Joe, I should call you Shirley.
Well, as he closes up into Fanyes, Carl Burke has got some opportunities coming his way. I agree that Kevin is a hard fighter. He's not going to give up that fourth place easily. And you know, some people talk about, fighting as hard as a dog for these positions. Fun fact about Kevin Brown, he actually has both cars actually go off track there and go wide. But Kevin Brown actually had to get a rabies shot, not because he got bit by a rabid dog, but because he bit a rabid dog himself. So I wouldn't mess with him.
It's got to stop.
These are all true. I'm telling you, these are true facts.
No, Joe, that is not true. maybe the Chippendale Dancers was true.
The cockroaches was true.
Yeah.
Roll over Brown.
It was not. He did not.
It's been a long day for us. So obviously,
okay,
we're
look at this. Kevin runs a 2-minute 18.3 that time by, whereas Carl Burke runs 2:18.6. So Burke actually loses a little bit of time for Brown there. But like you could say, that could just be the front end of his car washing out. Talking about washing, Kevin Brown used to once work at a washing up company. I don't know where I'm going with this one.
Car wash company? Did he star in Car Wash? I bet he starred in Car Wash.
Oh, that's a great movie.
I was going to say, Sam probably doesn't understand that right. Meanwhile, I did see just a glimpse on our screen. Stephen Paulson did stop in for another pit stop. I believe he's getting his second one out of the way with about an hour left to go, and he should be able to get to the end at this point. So, obviously taking a short second stint for Stephen Paulson in 19th place. We're still on Kevin Brown, who is in 4th place and starting to pull away from Carl Burke.
Okay. Joe and Sam, let me get serious here for a minute and ask you a question about Stephen Paulson. Now, he's 5th in the standings, but it doesn't look like he's a competitive driver. Like I've done 3 of these series races, so is it because he's an oval specialist? Is that why he's so high? Would you think? Do we know?
I have noticed in the series that there has been, because of the diversity of races and because of the knowledge that there are 4 drop weeks, there have been a lot of drivers that have not attended on a regular basis. I'm just going to assume that Steve Paulson has been one of the regular attenders and he's been able to score points that way. I wouldn't count him out too far though. He is currently sitting in 19th place, 2 laps down. But I think everyone here today deserves a shout out for just being able to keep it on course, race cleanly. We really, knocking on wood, haven't seen any major multi-car incidents today. And I just want to point this out here. Jimbo Pfeiffer actually lost a couple of seconds a little while ago to Joshua Gardner. Nothing major yet. There's still 3 seconds between them, but we'll keep an eye on that.
So we could still have a battle for which order the podium is going to be in between Pfeiffer and Gardner. And Jimbo is pretty handy all around. I'm actually surprised that he isn't a little bit higher up in the points, because remember, he was one of the drivers early on in the season that did well at Daytona 2.4, then infamously went on to say that he thought oval racing was easy. Everyone criticized him for it, and he proved everybody wrong at the Daytona 500.
I think it was mainly me criticizing him for that, and Daytona, anyone can do good at Daytona, quite frankly, but yeah, no, I mean, he is a solid road course performer, that's for sure, and maybe his overall performance is something that's hindering him from getting up there.
Oh, big bobble from Josh Gardner into Pouan, and he is off track and losing more time to Pfeiffer.
Well, one of them makes a mistake and the other one does. Let's not forget, though, that there's still another pit stop to make, so there could be a huge shake-up in the order. Meanwhile, Carl Burke just lost a lot of time to Kevin Brown in the battle for fourth. He was held up by the lap BMW of Gary Nichols.
Indeed, and I'm working my way through to see if we can find any close battles through the field, because we've got a lot of cars that are quite spread out around the track. Everybody's got their little piece of real estate. William Fletcher is going very slow, interestingly, coming out of Lake Coombe. Did he have a problem? Yes, he did, actually. He cut the course coming through Lake Coombe. Fletcher has not been having a good race recently. Remember, he spun, especially...
John Brown has spun off, doesn't hit anything, comes back on the track and almost takes out Kevin Brown. Wow.
I'm not sure if we can get an onboard of Kevin Brown for that view after we see this view coming through Pouan.
I'm sure we can. We just can't have audio of what Kevin's saying.
Yeah, it was something about the next family reunion.
Something like, Dad, hey!
Give him a heart attack, and it's not because he came in wearing something embarrassing, that's for sure.
Holy moly.
And you can see, woo, on the replay, very close there. I'd love to see the onboard. We're switching to that now as we hop on with Kevin Brown here. And just look at how close this is between these guys. He sees the smoke, and woo! Just sees a car emerge at the last moment, heads up driving from Kevin Brown.
Well,
we're going to see it now from onboard John Brown as well. And you can see, he could see just a little bit out of his window. And there goes a flash of his son in a BMW, and thankfully doesn't hit anything.
Well, I'm
and
glad they
almost
did.
Gets hit by Carl Burke, too.
Yeah. I'm glad they didn't get together, but secretly part of me would have enjoyed the story of dinner at the dinner table.
Ooh, it could be. Oh no, there won't be. I was wondering if there will be a battle for 12th, because Aaron Stowe just ran off at Lake Combs, had a slowdown penalty, I think, and that caused Chris Beck and his McLaren to run in a little bit. However, I don't think this will be a battle, because I think Aaron Stowe has been a bit faster and should be able to pull out the gap in 12th position again.
Yes, that's Chris Beck that is trying to run him down in that McLaren. You can see he's closed the gap quite a bit, but I agree. Oh, and another off for Aaron Stowe. Just ahead of them, there was some smoke. I'm not sure what happened there. That was Wayne Hutchinson, actually, in 10th, who had an off at Pouan. Car completely around. Doesn't look like he lost any positions out of it, though.
Yeah, no, that's fatigue is certainly going to be setting into these drivers. I mean, we have a benefit of being able to jump around and watch what's most interesting. But honestly, the honest story is that for drivers such as Ryan Huff, your leader, it's got to be...
Oh, Jimbo Pfeiffer is around at La Source, almost fully around, and runs into the wall trying to get himself corrected. That car might be damaged. Joshua Gardner's coming up behind him.
And Gardner's going to have a run. Well, no, he's a bit far back, but has Pfeiffer done any damage to the car? He's certainly knocked into the wall, not very hard, but the advantage that Gardner is going to have in his roof here is the slipstream. However, Pfeiffer's up to speed, and I think he's going to be able to keep a position for now, but certainly the battle for second is on.
He's definitely not close enough, so we're going to replay, and you're watching Jimbo Pfeiffer come around La Source. This has been a continual story that we've seen quite a lot. Guys get a little greedy on the gas, around he goes. He keeps it from completely looping around, but then, unfortunately, he misjudged the turning radius of that car.
Well, that's the second time Pfeiffer's put it in the wall and kept racing, so he either he has a couple 2x4s in the right-hand side of that car, or he just knows how to drive them.
Ooh, good battle going on between John Brown and Randy Webster for 14th. They got really close as they let the lead lap car of Brian Barnes in the McLaren by. So John Brown in his Monster Energy Total McLaren and Randy Webster in his green and black number 26 BMW. This is a battle for 14th position.
And Webster got a much better run coming out of Eau Rouge down the Kimmel Straight. He's got the draft. I don't think he's closing fast enough, though. They're going to hit the braking zone any moment now as we hop on board with Webster. Let's see who's got the better brakes. Fire spitting out of the exhaust of that McLaren ahead of him, and it looks like they're just about evenly matched. So it's going to take a mistake from somebody along the way as, whoa, getting very close, coming through the corner that leads down to Ravage, but he loses ground once again, so maybe he just went in a little too hot. And you can see from the damage, the damage from that bump into the wall that Brown had a little bit earlier on, with a close moments almost hitting his son re-entering the track. And that is going to hurt him down the straightaway as well, through the corners, trying to get downforce on the car. You can see he's not quite hitting his apexes.
No, that's true. I was going to say it's on the rear end of the car, so I'm almost wondering the aerodynamics back there, as opposed to the front end, don't matter. Oh! Is that
That's David Freeboff
between John Brown and Dan Freeboff?
Oh, I almost wonder if they touched there.
They did touch. Freeboff apologizes over the radio, and Brown is able to open up a gap. But yeah, that aerodynamics on the rear end, I don't know, the rear end aerodynamics back there doesn't seem to matter as much. It's almost like the points on whose line is it anyway.
John Brown comes across the radio and said, "Racing is rubbing."
I was just going to say, you can't fault the guy for having a poor attitude about the whole thing, because John Brown is unfazed and continues on with his position.
Well, heck, he just almost took out his son, so he thinks anything is good.
And he rolled over his car on pit road once. But talking about pit road, Burke is in it. So Burke is in for his final stop of a race.
So obviously taking a long final stint, he's still got just under 50 minutes. Man, it's tough for them to try and get around that corner. It's very tight through there. I don't think we could see it on camera, but he nearly got into the wall trying to steer around the La Source hairpin in the pit lane there.
I heard it. I think he did. He scraped it.
Jimmy Jones in.
Well, let's see how quick Jimmy Jones can get his pit stop done. Hopefully faster than you can make a sandwich and deliver it. But right now he is sitting in 8th. He's going to fall down the order with his pit stop with about 50 minutes, less than 50 minutes left to go. And then that green and black roof will slot back out.
Jones was about 8 seconds away from being lapped by Huff. So coming in now probably the best. And he hits the wall in the pit lane entrance.
I wonder if other drivers had done that on the last one. We just didn't see it.
Isn't that where Kevin Brown, is that where John Brown flipped his car over? I wonder if there's maybe a glitch there.
Possibly. Well, remember he did the reverse. John Brown hit the inside wall.
Oh, hit the inside.
So maybe the McLarens have a tighter turning radius and the BMWs have a wider one. Who knows? So, sounds like we have a battle between Wayne Hutchinson and Gino Scarpino Sr. Scarpino sitting in 11th, Hutchinson in 10th.
What color is Scarpino's car?
That is a blue and black car, my friend.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we had a battle heating up for second between Pfeiffer and Gardiner, but as quick as it heated up, it goes away because Gardiner ran off at Eau Rouge. It's going to have to take a slow down penalty. Pfeiffer escapes into second place a little bit.
We know Gardner was behind him by 4 or 5 seconds.
Oh, Dalton Petrillo has spun excellent Eau Rouge. He's got a lot of damage on his McLaren. running 18th place, 2 laps down in the number 123 car.
Sounds like we just saw that one live. That was a monster hit into those barriers at the exit there. And you can see on the screen his car is crapping very, very badly. He's going to have to pull it all the way around. Has he taken his second stop? Well, I guess he has taken 2 stops. But the question is, does he have any spare cars left?
Yeah, I mean, he's sitting down in 18th. Am I correct in that only the top 15 cars get points?
I will have to look that up for you. I'm afraid I don't have that information handy, so we'll try and see if we could figure out what the story is on those.
Just to touch base with second and third up there with Pfeiffer and Gardner, I think Pfeiffer's car is a little slower after he kind of brushed the wall, turning around. Gardner's been able to close the gap and run him down. He got right behind him and then made a mistake. I think Gardner's going to chase him down again here, so it's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, and also pit stops could certainly play into this. Fife actually about to come up to pit entry here, but I have a feeling he's going to continue. He does. They got the lap car of Steve Paulison in between them now. There is a large gap in between them, but as I say, if Fife has a slow stop and Gardner has a quick one, or if Pfeiffer can run Gardner down, it could change within a heartbeat. Meanwhile, the battle between Hutchinson and Scarpino just heated up. Hutchinson got a terrible run through the Blanchimont section. Here goes Scarpino Sr. down the inside. He takes 10th position away from Hutchinson.
And very cleanly to boot. That was a textbook pass by Scarpino Sr. And Hutchinson has no answer heading onto the front stretch. Just behind them, actually, a lap ahead, is Kevin Brown, but we're watching on board from Scarpino as we work our way around La Source, and that roof is trying to hold on to the back of that Beamer.
And we don't have to go there on camera, but we should just let the viewers know that Ryan Huff is 45-second lead. He is all alone. He is as alone as Queen Elsa, the Snow Queen, as I just watched Frozen the other night. So
I was going to say, you must have grandchildren.
There you go. Well, I'm trying to use references from this century. That's my goal this year.
Talking
Literally.
talking about overrated. No, I'm sorry.
Wow. I was gonna say, let's go on the lighter side. Brian Barnes is our last car on the lead lap. Brian Bennett has been recently lapped by Ryan Huff. So we have 6 cars on the lead lap with 45 minutes left to go, guys.
Meanwhile, Dalton Petrillo and his damaged McLaren has made it around pit road. To pit road, Dad.
Is he in his stall yet? Let's take a look. It looks like he is just pulling in now.
Yeah, so we'll see if he's able to get his full repairs or not. And as they close into the final hour, hopefully he'll be able to keep his car clean to the end now.
And our leader is in as well.
So now we see Huff's strategy.
And
where is Jimbo Pfeiffer? He is coming around Blanchimont. So will he pit this time?
And Huff was able to negotiate the pit entrance without problem.
Yeah, it seems to be one of the biggest talking stories of a race. Jimbo Pfeiffer has stayed out, so he will temporarily take the lead, but being 45 seconds down before pit stop, and Gardner comes in. The number 131 Porsche is down pit road, so he'll be able to get his repairs, and if he's able to get on good tyres, maybe he'll be able to put on a couple of hot laps and run Pfeiffer down for second. Well,
I don't know if new tires are really the way to run a hot lap. Do you think you're going to be faster on the cold tires coming out?
Well, from my experience, because I was running the GT3 cars last night, you do tend to get slightly faster laps on fresh tires, but I'm not sure how it behaves after pit stops on full fuel. I would think that they're pretty rough, actually, these tires, if you don't take new ones and if you got a full tank of fuel. And Jimbo Pfeiffer is off for a moment, and now he's back on. Sorry. So it sounds like he was avoiding some lap traffic. That was Dalton Petrillo, actually, who was having quite a moment trying to get his car going straight coming out of Lake Coombe.
Well, if indeed you're faster on cold tires, then this is like what I like to use the analogy of, it's like yacht racing. Pfeiffer has to come in and cover the tack of Gardner. If Gardner's come in and has fresh tires, Pfeiffer can't afford to stay out there and run slow laps on cold tires, or he's gonna lose his position. So if indeed new tires are going to be faster, he's got to come in.
Sam, you're more cultured than I am. Have you followed yacht racing?
Hey.
No, I have not. Let's see, what do I know about water? I have some water right here, actually. I'm going to drink it right now.
Well, while he does
that was nice.
Wait a minute.
All I know about
Sam, where are you from originally?
England. It's an
I thought you were Australian. Okay.
Hang on, let's be serious here. Gardner just spun his tyres exiting pit road and went over the white line. Will he get a penalty for that?
Interesting. Unfortunately, I lost his connection just as he did that, so I won't be able to see.
Boy, he really came. Watch. I have it on mine. He really came over. He came back. His exit was okay, but for about 100 yards there, he was on the other side of the line.
Now, even though he has about, let's see, it looks like 25 seconds between himself and Kevin Brown. 20 seconds, it looks like. Remember, the pit penalty for having to just go through the pits, let alone stopping them, is momentous in this track. So I think it's pretty much a slam dunk if he has a black flag for Kevin Brown to move into a podium position.
Hang on, was Gardner even exiting the pits?
Yeah, he coming out of the maybe he got a stop and go because he's in right now.
No, he's out on track right now. I'm just a little. It was Gardner who pit. It wasn't Pfeiffer who pit, was it? I was thinking Pfeiffer pit earlier.
Yeah, sorry, I was in reline mode.
I was trying to work out why they weren't on track together, because what I'm waiting to see happen is Pfeiffer come out of the pits and these two be right on the same spot of circuit together. Obviously, the issue now is that Gardner's gonna lose a bit of time there.
Yeah, it'd be nice if our technology was working and we could check lap times right now between Pfeiffer and Gardner to see how they're running, because Pfeiffer's on old tires.
Very true. So we'll have to wait and see. Where is Gardner now? Is he heading up to the pit entry? And he heads in. He's got a black flag.
Yep, there it is.
Well, that changes everything.
Well, now that's good for Kevin Brown, as that's going to probably, like Joe said, that should be a position for him. A black flag, a stop and go, a pass-through penalty on this track is death.
Yep.
It's certainly going to set Josh Gardner back quite a bit, especially after working himself into third. He had some mistakes along the way, but other than that, his pace had really merited a great finish today. If he gets knocked off the podium after such a silly mistake, that is going to be a travesty and almost brushes the wall.
I think he did.
Just in front of him, you can see John Brown coming in for his final pit stop. So, looks like John is going to have about 38 minutes to go on this one. Jimbo Pfeiffer currently into the lead, and I'm seeing Ryan Huff scored in second.
I'll tell you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Randy Webster minus the hood coming out of No Name Corner.
Well, Huff's in second because Pfeiffer hasn't pitted yet, so... but poor Joshua Gardner. He's... how long? 2 hours, and you kind of... throw it away right there. That's going to cost him 2-3 spots maybe.
And Webster is off track and banged off the Armco once again, and I believe that was into Fanyu's. Yes, that's into Fanyu's that he's working his way through. You were right. Out of No Name Corner, he just basically overcooked it and nosed it right into the corner. Now, I don't know if Randy has taken his second stop. If he did, he could be in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't think so. Meanwhile, J.D. Snyder, who's been running 6 laps down, just had a spin over in the bus stop. So a couple of incidents going on. Remember, we began to see this before our first round of pit stops, where the tyres began to burn off and the drivers began to make mistakes.
Hey, you viewers at home, we don't like to pat each other on the back here in the booth, but I got to tip my hat to Sam. We're close to 2 hours into this, and he caught that Gardner going over the pit line there. And that was a nice call, Sam, because that's the black flag. That's really going to hurt him. Nice job, buddy.
Well, as a driver, when you see cars exiting pit road and go over the line, you begin to get a little bit mad. So, kind of experience on that end, I suppose.
That's very true.
Or maybe I was just lucky, but I'm going to brag about it. I think it wasn't luck.
Well,
what that
my father always said I'd rather be lucky than good, so that counts for something at least.
Well, that did cost.
Is this a battle for position between Gino Scarpino Sr. and Wayne Hutchinson? This was the battle for 10th we were watching earlier. Gino is currently in front of Wayne.
Yes, he was in front of him last we saw, but Wayne is trying to come back around the outside, coming up into La Source, and Gino looks like he's going to overshoot it. Yes, he overshoots it by some margin. He is way off, and that's going to gift it to Wayne Hutchinson, who moves himself up into 13th.
Hope he had his passport, because I think he travelled off in France there.
I don't want to jump to conclusions, but that looked like driver fatigue there.
Yeah, it certainly seems like the mistakes are coming out at this point. These guys have been going for nearly 2 hours, as you mentioned before. So it's definitely hitting the point where, I've done a 2.4-hour race. You kind of, especially when there's no caution flags in these things, you're just looking at the clock going, how is there this much time left?
Yeah, Pfeiffer has a 27-second lead on Huff, but of course Pfeiffer has to make his pit stop. Brown's running third, Barnes is fourth, and I really think that Gardner's going to really. In fact, Joshua Gardner is now a lap down.
Yeah, Kevin Brown is in the pits, so we'll get an indication here of how much time Joshua Gardner has really lost when Brown comes out of the pits, if he's in front or behind him. So we're watching Kevin Brown coming down pit road from third position. Currently in front of him is Jimbo Pfeiffer, who's yet to pit, and Ryan Huff, who has. So needless to say, Ryan Huff pretty much has it in the bag right now.
Yeah, it's going to take a major mistake from Huff. Even, once he comes back out, I think last we saw, wasn't it around 40 seconds before this last pit stop that he had over everybody else? He could basically spin the car, wreck it, and still come out ahead of everybody in all of this. He's got such a gap at this point. So Kevin Brown is still in his stall as we watch Ryan Huff circulate his way around, and Gardner is actually heading up through Curvet Paul Frere at the moment, and he is trying to get past the lap traffic of Dalton Petrillo, who doesn't seem to be very accommodating at the moment.
Je ne parle pas français, Joe. Whenever you mention these turn names, I begin to get lost sometimes.
Joe is very smooth. He's very romantic, isn't he?
Well, I have to confess, there was a Belgian waffle place where I got to know the owner quite well, so I had a little bit of exposure.
Belgian waffles. There you go.
I'm serious. It's a place in Cincinnati. Anyways, back to the action on track. Kevin Brown is coming out in third position. I'm seeing. I don't believe that's totally. Actually, that should be correct, because Josh Gardner is now coming around La Source. And in fact, Josh Gardner should be behind Carl Burke on track, as well as Brian Bennett, who I believe is yet to pit. Same thing with Brian Barnes. So if you guys should be shuffling up the order, we still got 30 minutes left to go. And look at Carl Burke's car. It's not looking too handy. He must have made contact with someone along the way.
Yeah, there's been a lot of activity out here. Meanwhile, something we forgot to make note of was when Kevin Brown exited the pits, where did he come out in relation to Joshua Gardner? I'm trying to find where Joshua Gardner is on the circuit. Yeah, he's about 20 seconds behind him, I would say.
Yeah, Gardner really got crushed with that stuff.
Barnes is into the pits now. Well, as I was saying before, with the damage on the front of Carl Burke's car, which doesn't seem to be hurting him too much, some of these guys, I'm sure, could use some virtual duct tape, because if their car isn't handy, at least maybe they could find them handsome. But in the meantime, it looks like, actually, who is Burke behind? That's Jimbo Pfeiffer, and that's actually because he's being lapped at the moment. So these guys are all out of order that we're seeing on track.
Yeah, and once Brian Burnett and Carl Burke pit, they'll probably go a lap down to Ryan Huff, who doesn't have to pit again. We may see only about 4 cars left on the lead lap. Meanwhile, Howard Windell currently running 9 laps down, last car left in the race. 23rd of the 24 cars that started. Howard Windell is going very slow. He's got damage on that. He just crashed in the Pouhon section, and as you can imagine, he'd be saying in French, "Ho on yo," to that term. Probably not too pleased with that corner.
Yes,
Well-
it's a very fast left-hander, and it's very easy to be caught out, especially if you overcook it. Go ahead.
Well, I got something interesting here. We got Carl Burke on fresh tires, I believe, is right behind Jimbo Pfeiffer, the leader. Now, I think Burke's a lap down. It's interesting to see that he's able to stay right with him. Even though his car is damaged, he's fresh tires might make a big difference.
Big crash. Ryan Huff! He just ran into the back of Howard Windell.
No.
Yes, he did, but he is right in pit entry. He's gonna pit. Oh, but his car is handling so awful as he comes into the pits. He goes up onto two wheels as he grazes the pit wall. His Porsche is not handling well at all, and he may have just lost this race.
And that, as we're watching the replay, that was because of that slow-moving BMW in front of him. He was trying to predict which way he was going to go, and he was approaching so quickly he just could not tell. So, Pfeiffer still hasn't pitted in all of this, interestingly.
Right.
So we're not even going to know what this is going to look like between them as we continue to watch the replay of him trying to wind his way into the pits there until Jimbo Pfeiffer heads into the pits.
So Huff's going to get a new car, but Pfeiffer's got to come in here and pit right behind him, but Huff will basically be a lap down almost when Pfeiffer comes in.
Well, Pfeiffer had a 25-second lead over Huff. Obviously, Huff probably lost about 10 seconds about there due to the incident. The only advantage Huff has here is that all he needs to do is get a quick repair. He doesn't need to fill his car up or really change tyres.
Right.
So hopefully he should have a quick stop.
So there it is.
Look, he's already out. Huff's saving grace here is that when Jimbo Pfeiffer comes in, Pfeiffer's going to have a minute pit stop. So what we're really going to have to pay attention to is when Ryan Huff comes over the start-finish line, this time by to complete lap 49, how far behind Pfeiffer is he? If he is about 1 minute and 5 seconds behind, I'd say we'd still have a race on our hands.
Now,
Absolutely. And
let me take one more thing here. Pfeiffer doesn't need a full load of fuel, right? Because he only has to. He's in the pits right now, so he just needs enough to get to the end. So he doesn't really need to fill it all the way up.
So after 2 hours of racing, it comes down to this. It ain't over till it's over. We always say it in racing, and yet something always surprises us when we think it's a blowout. So we're watching Jimbo Pfeiffer work his way around. And actually, we're supposed to be looking at Jimbo. There he is on the screen. There was a bit of a glitch there for a second as he works his way through the pit stall. Now, where is Ryan Huff coming around the course? He is coming around Pouhon at the moment. So he's got a lot of track still to go, but Pfeiffer isn't even in his pit stall yet.
Yeah, but let's not forget, even if Huff does come out in second, he is an alien in iRacing terms. And no, an alien does not mean you look like Nicki Minaj. It means that you are very, very fast in an iRacing car, almost non-human, and that is what Ryan Huff has proven to us today.
I always wondered about Nicki Minaj. I had my theories, but you just confirmed it. But anyways, Ryan Huff now coming around Blanchimont very soon here. He's coming up to it right now. So I think he actually might still be able to retain his lead regardless.
Come on, Jimbo, get out of the pits.
Pfeiffer still working on his car. Excuse me. Now, did he take tires? That's another question. Because going 2 point...
He's out.
He's going to have the lead. Ryan Huff is going to have to put his Marvin the Martian to work.
Or at
Well,
least
boys.
get a hamster running inside that car.
We got something to watch
Pfeiffer,
here.
Pfeiffer just went over the line. Excellent pit road. Is he going to get a penalty?
And that wasn't losing control of his car. That was just, ooh, that's going to hurt him.
Is it? We won't know until another lap.
Well, right now, the distance between them is about the Kemmel Straight. So it's about 12 seconds between the cars. Interestingly, too, in all of this, if he gets a black flag, even though he's got quite a...
Look at this. Pfeiffer just let a lapped car by. He's obviously given up, but goes to a little bit and he loses control, able to save it. But I think he has been given a penalty and he is letting these lap cars by because he's kind of realised that he's not in any other battles.
Well, I don't think he would have gotten a slowdown penalty, so I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, that's a bizarre maneuver, and he is definitely going slow. Maybe his tires cooled down and he's lost temperature in them. I'm not sure. Kevin Kernodle is currently on top of him. We saw a car spun on track just back there in Puan. That was J.D. Snyder still in 22nd place.
But, look, I mean, why is... If he does not have a penalty, Pfeiffer would not be going this slow. He would be pushing it because, look, Ryan Huff, you can see him now. If we get a wide enough shot, he is the next car behind Pfeiffer. And if this was a race to the end, I think Pfeiffer would be pushing it a lot more right now.
Absolutely, but why would he not push even if he had the penalty? That's the question. It still is very unusual. Regardless, since it's looking like something might have happened, if he gets this black flag, this could move Kevin Brown into second.
We're about to find out. Is he going to make the hard right turn?
He's staying to the right side. This is not a good sign. No, he stays out.
Okay.
Well, he has 3 laps to serve it, but he's lost a bunch of time to Huff that lap.
I suspect he had some cold tires coming out of there. He was just struggling the way he spun.
Well, one way or another, we've got a race on our hands. It took us about 2 hours, but here it is.
Absolutely, Ryan Huff already has closed the gap. You can see glimpses of him on screen. There he is behind them with headlights blaring, trying to hunt these guys down as they come through Eau Rouge, and now he is closing rapidly.
But I would say Pfeiffer is now a little bit back up to song. So I don't know what was going on there. It's got to be the cold tires.
Did he forget to put fuel in it? And he's trying to save fuel? I
don't think he would make it to the end on this fuel if that was the case. He's got 24 minutes left to go. He would have had to have stopped back in.
Well, maybe he only took as much fuel as he could and still get out in front of the leader. So maybe he short pitted and he's trying to milk it. I don't know.
Well, we are going to have a pass for the lead very soon here, it looks like, because Huff is already closed up on the back of Pfeiffer. Now coming into Puan, we are on board with Huff as they work their way around this fast downhill left-hander. He should have some opportunities a little bit later in the lap. There's nothing doing right now, heading into Fagnes, and closes up once again under braking. The key here is going to be getting himself a good exit out of Curva Paul Frere.
Of course, one telling thing will be how much does Pfeiffer defend, because we're certainly coming up to the potential overtaking opportunities here, and there isn't really much of a secondary line through Blanchimont, but once they get out of Blanchimont and down into the bus stop, we'll see if Pfeiffer goes defensive or not. Huff certainly has a run on him here. Obviously, it's suicidal to make an attempt here, but here it is certainly not. Pfeiffer sticks to the inside. No, he takes a racing line through the turn, does come over a little bit, and is able to keep the lead as they come across to complete another lap. And I believe we have about 17 minutes left. So what's that? About 8 or 9 more laps? Okay, about
23
10 or 11
minutes
more
left.
laps. 23 minutes to go. I don't know if Pfeiffer can hold on for that long.
Yeah, that's going to be a very tall order, and Huff gets right back on the back of him. Pfeiffer is using every bit of the track, and even beyond the limits. He went way off at Blanchimont to try and keep his momentum going. He can't do that here through Eau Rouge, but he keeps it nice and tidy. Doesn't matter, though. That draft and a good run by Ryan Huff is going to make it a slam dunk. He's already pulling in, coming down the Kimmel Straight. It looks like he's going to be clear him even by the braking zone. Look at him just breeze by. Nothing he can do. Jimbo Pfeiffer watches Ryan Huff, who's been so dominant all race, take away what could have been a win.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'm watching the traffic jam going through the Blanchimont section. There was a battle between Gino Scarpino Sr. and Aaron Stowe, and there's just a bunch of black traffic all in one place. It's actually getting a bit ugly. Aaron Stowe going by David Freeboff side by side through Blanchimont. but they were all able to get away with it okay, but there were a couple of heart-stopping moments right there. Still got plenty of battles going on throughout the rest of the field.
Now, I'm checking back real quick to see whether or not Brian Bennett has taken his pit stop yet, and it looks like he has not, actually.
No.
So,
He was. I'm sorry, Joe. He was last to stop the first time. He seems to get really good mileage.
Yeah, that's what I was remembering, and I was double checking to see if he's trying to stretch this as long as he can go. He's got about 7 seconds. No, more than that. Oh, actually, no, less than that. He's got about 4 seconds between himself and Carl Burke. But Brian Bennett is sitting in 4th place, which is a handy spot. But he has yet to make his second stop. The question is, how long can he go? Can he actually maybe get to the end? That'd be a really tall order. But he only has to make a really, really short stop at the end at this rate.
I don't think so.
Let's go back to the lead here. Pfeiffer is hanging on to Huff.
He's not giving up. He's got about a half second between himself and that roof, that red, white, and blue roof ahead of him. So it looks like he's trying to make... I kind of wondered if he was slowing down and just hoping to hold on to the back of Huff, maybe. Maybe use the draft and ride his coattails.
I'm looking forward to the post-race interview.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's huffing, he's puffing, but he's not blowing Huff's spoiler down, that's for sure. Fife actually dropping back a little bit there. But certainly, if he can stay within drafting range, he can hang with Ryan Huff till the end of the race. Maybe he could attempt to move on the final lap or two. But I don't know, but I'll tell you what, this is certainly going to be... Ooh, as Ryan Huff gets close to the lapped car of Howard Windell, who funnily enough was the guy he ran into, and now that's Gary Nichols in the number 8 car. So a lot of lap traffic in front of them. Now they've got a bit of a gap until John Brown is the next lap car in front of them. But yeah, it's certainly, if Ryan Huff wins today, it's not only going to be because of his pace, but he just did not give up when he ran into the back of that lap car. He was very fortunate that happened right in front of pit road. He stuck to the plan. He knew, okay, let's come down pit road, let's get my car repaired, get this stop done. He wasn't in his pit stall for more than 2 seconds. He ran Pfeiffer down, he took the lead, and if he can win this race, he certainly deserves every point he's going to get.
Let's go take a quick look at 6th and 7th place here. Brian Barnes and Joshua Gardner. Now remember, Joshua had that stop.
Huge crash for Howard Windell. I think that he's done now. He is upside down. He sideswiped the wall at about 130 miles an hour.
We were just watching the end of that, but now we're going to watch the replay. Meanwhile, off-screen, Josh Gardner was able to get past Brian Barnes for that position. Car upside down on the track. That is usually a race stopper, but we are in a virtual race, and his car simply exits out, as you'll see shortly. There it goes. So back to live we go. Let's hop up to Josh Gardner, who is up into 6th position ahead of Brian Barnes now.
Yeah, he got around Barnes there right when we had the excitement on the track. If you remember, Gardner had that pass-through penalty when he went over the pit line. And,
no! Pfeiffer! Pfeiffer just spins it out of the source. He was right on the back of Huff. He could have made a move for the lead if he wanted.
He actually was looking at it just slightly into the braking zone, and we're going to see a replay, and once again, overcooked it in that same corner we've seen time and time again.
And Pfeiffer just said over the radio that was my fault, so I'm guessing Huff was saying, you know, did I block you or anything? No, Pfeiffer just said I overcooked it.
Well, thankfully for Pfeiffer, he had last time by about 50 seconds ahead of Kevin Brown. So Kevin Brown is in no threat to Jimbo Pfeiffer this late in the race with 17 minutes left to go.
And we still have Brian Bennett, who's still out there, hasn't made his second pit stop yet. He's running right now in 4th place. So I don't know if he can get there. Be nice if he could.
Well, he went 27 laps last time on his first stint. Is that correct? I believe it was 27 laps. So 27 times 2. Anybody good at math?
83? No, that's not right, is it?
I was going to say, I think that's slightly off.
76, 54, one of those.
Should be actually 54 laps, isn't it?
Yeah, 54.
54.
54 laps. Okay.
5-4.
So he should pit this next time by.
Carl Burke has got a slowdown penalty. He's going to lose 5th position to Joshua Gardner.
Gardner doing very well after that very terrible mistake coming out of the pit, setting him back now into the top 5. So he's doing pretty handy.
What happened to Corey Peters? He was up in 8th. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at Corey Peters was behind Wayne Hutchinson in 11th. Even though there's only 2 or 3 positions between them, Wayne Hutchinson is actually a lap behind Corey Peters.
Yeah, Corey Peters has been having a very quiet and nice race running there. He's going to be running in 8th, but actually he's going to move up to 7th with Bennett's pit stop. So that's a nice, quiet 7th place for him.
But hey, let's jump back a little bit farther down. Aaron Stowe and Gino Scarpino are having a big battle for 13th and 14th. And Gino currently leading in that blue BMW ahead of the blue and yellow Bimmer of Aaron Stowe. But these guys are going at it very closely, although a bad exit out of no-name corner allows Gino to start to pull away just a little bit.
Yeah, and so currently top 5 is Ryan Huff, Jimbo Pfeiffer, Kevin Brown, Brian Burnett, and Carl Burke. Although we're thinking Brian Burnett might still have to pit again. And I mean, credit where credit's due there. Kevin Brown being able to run 3rd. I know he is at GSRC. He works with us on broadcasts. So. We do favour him, but still credit where credit due. He started outside of the top 10. Brian Barnett is in the pits.
Exactly, and just as that was happening, Josh Gardner was looking to make a pass anyway, so Josh Gardner was going to slot up into 4th regardless. So Josh Gardner was looking at a 2nd place at one point in time. A few mistakes has put him down, but he's made up quite a few spots. I don't know if he's going to be able to run down Kevin Brown with only 14 minutes left.
Aaron Stowe and Gino Scarpino Sr. came together in the bus stop. And they both stay out on course, so I guess they don't have that much damage.
It was a fair thunk into the back of Scarpino, who was the one who got turned around there, so he is continuing on. And it looks like both of them have decided their cars are handling okay.
They were talking to each other over the intercoms, and they're both fine with it. They were saying it was getting pretty intense.
A lot of guys enjoying competition.
Like camping. Intense. Okay,
Wow.
I'm sorry. I was talking about Kevin Brown running in 3rd. That's what he did in the National Swimming Championship once for the 3rd place. So he's going to tie his record there.
Boy, I would not want to see him in a Speedo, I'm not going to lie. But Brian Bennett is now exiting. Where is he coming out?
I believe he'll be on the Camel Straight.
Thank you for that, Sam. And I was trying to figure out what position he is going to come out in. I might have to wait a lap because my timing screens have not updated yet. And I want to say he's going to come out in 10th?
I think that's
Where's
right.
Jimmy
I think he's going to file in right behind Jimmy Jones. I think you got it.
And he started in 9th, so unfortunately, despite the long run, it doesn't look like it's going to work out for Brian Bennett unless someone ahead of him makes a mistake. Meanwhile, we're watching Jimmy Jones, whose green and black roof continues to work its way around and currently sitting in 9th place.
Now, this is going to be interesting. Joshua Gardner is about 11 seconds behind Kevin Brown for 3rd. That's about a second per minute. I don't think he's going to be able to make that up. So I think we're looking at Huff, Pfeiffer, Brown, Gardner, and rounding out the top 5 would be Carl Burke,
who I believe just got 5th place from Brian Barnes. And, knocking on wood for Brian Barnes, I was slightly worried he would have connection issues tonight after that's what happened when he had one of the faster cars at the Brickyard last week. But fortunately, so far, he's been able to hold on, running in 6th place. I think that's enough points that he'll be able to walk out of here with a points lead, provided nothing changes.
Certainly looking like a good result for Brian. I have to imagine it in that cockpit. He was more thinking about just trying to get to the end of this thing, and it's certainly working for him at this point. Ryan Huff, in the meantime, has pulled out a 12-second lead. Some of that was helped by Jimbo Pfeiffer's half spin coming out of La Source, but still, all that matters is that time on track. And right now, Ryan Huff, even after damaging his car and taking a 3rd pit stop, is still beating everybody on track.
I'm looking to see if there's a close battle anywhere, and I really don't think so as we're closing in here.
Randy Webster and Kevin Canodal for 16th. They're a little ways apart. Let's see, Randy Webster just ran a 222.0, Kevin Canodal a couple tenths faster, 221.8. So that could be something to keep an eye out on. That would be a battle for 16th place, so.
Well, as things settle down, I'd like to take this opportunity to make this plea again to these guys in the Northwest League. I tried this the last race, and it fell on deaf ears. I'd like a connection to Ham's Beer. You guys are up there. You're in the land of Sky Blue Waters. They don't sell it down here in Southern California anymore. Send me an email, and we'll work something out, okay? Thank you.
Speaking of ham, I once heard that Kevin Brown ate an entire pig in one sitting.
I heard that he killed that pig with his bare hands.
We've got 10 more minutes.
It turns out that Kevin Brown was actually taken to court for killing the pig for cannibalism.
Wow, so bites the hand that feeds you in some of these cases here for Sam. But Kevin's doing pretty good out there right now, still holding that podium position with 10 minutes left to go.
I think I've got a battle for a top 10 here. Wayne Hutchinson just lost 1.2 seconds to Chris Beck that lap. At that rate, Chris Beck should be able to catch him within a couple of laps of 10th.
Are you sure of that? Because I really don't believe anything you're saying now. Is that something I should really look at? I'm going to look.
Yet.
Well,
okay.
if it's on the internet, it's got to be true.
Hey, another tip of the hat to one of us here as we have this time. You guys don't really care about Joe's life, but how many hours have you broadcast today, Joe?
I imagine it's probably up to 6 or something like that at this point. This is my 3rd broadcast. First one was about 2 hours. The one was about an hour, so I guess 5.5 hours at this point.
He's married to a good woman, boys and girls.
You don't know the half of it. She is a wonderful lady. But let's focus on what's going on track right now as laps continue to be rifled off. Since we last looked, it was 12 seconds between Ryan Huff and Jimbo Pfeiffer. Did Jimbo make another mistake? He's 21 seconds back.
I just think he's playing cautious. I mean, he's got 30 seconds behind him. Why not?
Yeah, at this point, he's going to be taking the points, and like I said, he should be higher up.
I'll tell you who made a mistake. Brian Barnes was less than second behind Carl Burke. He's about 6 seconds behind him now. Brian Barnes must have had a mistake this lap. Yeah.
Could have been.
I'm watching. It's coming up into that chicane, which name escapes me right now. He just lost it, had a bit of a slide, and lost a few seconds.
Would that be Fanyus? Yep, that's Fanyus. Well, now he is coming into the next chicane, which is called the bus stop, even though it's not a bus stop style chicane anymore, but the name persists. And we want to give a quick shout out to Ruben Velasco on Twitter for adding us and following us. Welcome aboard. We love to have new followers on there. Feel free to ask us a question. Even though we've only got 8 minutes left to go on the clock, we'd love to have questions from our viewers. We'll try our best to answer them. I try to keep my phone handy and see if anybody has popped us one along the way. But boy, Brian Barnes just about went off. And Wayne Hutchinson is off, actually. That was in the bus stop.
There is a battle heating up for 20th place, so they're going all throughout the field right now. 3 laps down, David Friedboff in his Porsche is only a few tenths ahead of Steve Paulison in his McLaren.
Did you call it a Porsche? I think you did.
Bruce.
Almost a Porsche.
I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Porsche
that's-
look alike a bit.
it's kind of
How
a-
about this on the outside?
There he goes.
Come on, Paulison goes around. Nice move.
I like to call it a Stedford Porsche because it looks like a Porsche, but on the inside it's all. Nobody knows the Stedford. Why? Sorry.
Hey, this is an interesting fact. This is actually true. I once won a trophy in an autocross made for Porsches in a Dodge Stratus. I won that trophy. I
Hey.
competed in the non-Porsche class.
Interesting maneuver here going on. David Freeboth is into the pits, and I don't think he's hit anything recently. He must have ran a very long stint for this next half. And it sounds like we got a battle between Gino Scarpino and after that mistake, Wayne Hutchinson in 12th. Just a quick update. Let's stay on this battle. Brian Bennett is in 9th. I was off by 1, so close guess. I'm not taking part in the lottery yet.
Yeah, this is interesting. Oh, as Hutchinson goes off and comes back on in 13th place, he's going to give up the position to Gino. This was a battle for 10th early, and now it's a battle for 12th. So at some point in time, two cars were able to leapfrog them during the round of pit stops. Now William Fletcher right behind Wayne Hutchinson. That is for position. The black car behind him of Gary Nichols is not.
I was going to say it goes from bad to worse for Hutchinson, losing one position, now under threat for the next one. Can Fletcher do anything to get himself into 13th? Maybe unlucky for some, but I'm sure he'll take it.
How about a quick shout out? You're watching that battle, but let's give a shout out to Chris Beck. We haven't had him on screen very much. He's in the top 10. A quiet race for him. That's a nice job.
Sam, that's your cue?
About Hutchinson or about Beck? Beck stops there.
He asked for a shout out to Chris Beck.
Chris Beck.
There we go. All right.
Yeah.
Can't get away without those. We're still watching William Fletcher, who is trying to hunt down that 13th position away from the roof of Wayne Hutchinson. Just ahead of him, he's lost ground heading into La Source. There's not going to be any opportunities into there. Maybe he can get a run down the Kimmel Straight, but he has to go through Eau Rouge before that.
I don't know how much damage Howard Windell did to his cars. BMW's been sitting on pit road forever, and they really haven't done a whole lot of repairs to it. He's pretty much essentially the second DNF of the race, and I don't know. It's just sitting there. I'll tell you what, this is a rather haunting race, I would say. Just a mist around here. The mystique. Kind of scary now, actually. Let's talk about something else, so I stopped getting scared.
I was hearing a little bit of chatter from Kevin Brown. I'm not sure what that one was about.
How about David Freeboth going off and coming back right on the track in front of Jimmy Jones, who had to take to the grass to avoid him?
Kevin looped it in the, but he got it back on track. But he went off the grass. He probably the last 10 or 15 seconds.
Well, there goes any chance that he had to try and hunt down Jimbo Pfeiffer, unfortunately. But David Freeboth, that was after his pit stop. You remember earlier on we saw, I believe it was Pfeiffer actually, that almost spun off after his stop. I really think these tires cooling down mess with the drivers when they get back on.
How did Carl Burke get by Joshua Gardner?
Whoa, huge spin from Brian Bennett in the 9th position. Where is 10th? Chris Beck is actually... No, he's way far back, actually.
Yeah, meanwhile, like I was just saying, there's been a change for 4th position, I believe that is. Oh, 5th position. It's Carl Burke in 4th, Joshua Gardner in 5th, and Brian Barnes in 6th. I think there's been a little bit of shaking up there.
Gardner also looped it, yeah. So Gardner and Brown both looped to 3rd and 4th place. Burke has gotten by Gardner now.
So once again, consistency rears its ugly head as the key to these endurance races and making up positions, getting farther ahead. Some of these guys should be a little bit higher up, including Josh Gardner, who we're watching going through Lecumbe currently with 3 minutes left. In fact, where is Ryan Huff currently?
It's coming across the line, so if you say there's 3 minutes left, I would say 2 laps left to go.
Exactly. So we're getting down to the last bit of it. He's got a 30-second lead over Pfeiffer. In fact, it took him how long through the race to get that sort of lead before? I think you're right. Pfeiffer has probably given up the ghost and is just rifling off laps at this point.
Well, you know what's interesting? Brown was in third, and Gardner was running him down, and then Brown looped it. Gardner looped it as well, so it killed Gardner's chance to catch Brown, and Burke snuck into fourth place there.
And what happened to Brian Barnes? He has lost 6th position to Corey Peters.
In fact, this looks like a nice little battle that we got going on between these two guys. We'll have to keep half an eye on Ryan Huff and the clock to figure out when we're going to get that white flag. But Barnes behind Peters with late in the race, 6th and 7th. Good battle going on here.
It is a good battle. It's like watching Kevin Brown wrestle a bear. The bear won.
Only by a technicality. Meanwhile, action on track. Barnes is closing in as they head up towards Blanchimont. The draft reeling him up towards the yellow and white car, and he goes very wide, using every bit of track. And is he going to try and attempt to pass? He looks to the inside. Peters also defends, covers off the line. He goes a little bit wide into the first part of the bus stop, trying for the over-under for Brian Barnes. Has he got it? He definitely has got it. He out-accelerates his competitor down the front stretch, heading towards La Source. He is clear past, but he's on the wrong side as Peters looks to the inside, but he's nowhere to be seen. However, it looks like it's overshot by Brian Barnes, gives the position back. And now Peters is back up into that 6th position.
I like Corey Peters.
Yeah, this is like watching race cars do the okey-cokey. They go in and out, in and out, in and outside each turn. Corey Peters currently has it, and Brian Barnes, I think, is going to have to attempt an outside pass entering Lake Holmes. That will give him the inside exiting Lake Holmes. Let's see what way is Peters going to defend. No, Barnes is going to go down the inside on the entry here. It's going to be a battle of the brakes. Barnes on them a little bit earlier. That's going to give... Oh, no, Corey Peters overshoots it. Barnes puts his McLaren in front. Barnes has a position.
Excellent stuff from Barnes. Even after a mistake, he still collected himself and made it back. We have 10 seconds left on the clock.
Oh, and there's a crash in the source between Aaron Stowe and Gary Nichols, but it looks like they're going to get away okay.
And we just got the white flag. Thankfully, I was afraid that we were going to run out of time, so Ryan Huff is on his final lap.
And as that's going on, William Fletcher is taking a pit stop on the final lap.
Interesting. Well, maybe he did not fill up enough, or maybe he accrued some damage that kept the car from working. Who knows? Meanwhile, I am looking to see if we can find a battle. We are on Corey Peters still, who is still trying to get that position back. He has not given up.
Yeah, and this could go down to the line. I mean, that's one of the great things about Spa-Francorchamps, other than its beauty, if that's what turns you on, is the ability to be able to attempt to pass at many different portions of the circuit. Really, the best overtaking opportunities are La Source and Lake Holmes and the bus stop, which we're coming up to right now. But you could certainly attempt to pass wherever you wanted if you had to. Brian Barnes going to go defensive. Corey Peters looks to the outside.
Nice.
Much late on the brakes. Is he
too late.
No.
That's okay. That was a good effort.
And bounces it over the curbs for extra measure. And he is losing lots and lots of time. So that is going to... That is just the position for Brian Barnes unless he makes a mistake. Where is Ryan Huff, though?
He's coming into Blanchimont right now.
And he is looking to lap Wayne Hutchinson just ahead of him. Is he going to give him another lap, or is Wayne just going to let him by, saying, I don't want any more of this race with 2.4 hours to get through? He has no positions to lose or gain at this point just ahead of him, so it all depends on what he wants. Meanwhile, Ryan Huff. Now, the question is, they've been scoring them at the GP line. However, they started at the endurance line, so which one is he going to get the checkered flag at? Looks like it's going to be here. Ryan Huff is going to win the 2.4 hours of Spa after looking like he might lose it. He came back, charged to the front, and absolutely destroyed the field. Yet again, well done to Ryan Huff. 52 seconds back to Jimbo Pfeiffer. Not even close. We have a long time before he hits the line.
The only battles on track, I think, are the battle for fourth between Carl Burke in front of Josh Gardiner. Josh Gardiner, though, would have to hope from a mistake from Burke to be able to get that position.
It is not out of the question. He could maybe get a whiff of the draft and close in. They're going to be coming up on the straight before Blanchimont very soon. Look at Burke using every inch of the track and then some, trying to get himself a good launch. Josh Gardner also following suit, accelerating down the backstretch up towards Blanchimont. Is he going to have enough? He's starting to close in. It could be an opportunity. The draft is reeling him in. They now blast through Blanchimont. He has got a huge run. He goes all the way off the track. Is he going to be able to get back on? He does, but he runs out of room. He looks to the inside, coming up in the braking zone. They touch. They go side by side. He tips him. They both go sideways. Burke is still in it. He's trying to get the car going. And it looks like, sportsmanship comes back into it as Josh Gardner allows him to have the position back.
Yeah, very, very nice of him to do. But I'll tell you what, he gave it all he had. But at the end of the day, that's not the way you want to get a position in the final turn.
Absolutely. Good stuff from Josh Gardner. Still takes home a 5th place, so well done to him. And let's see, actually, Corey Peters is crossing the line. He's the last car on the lead lap. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is 2.4 hours of Spa for the Northwest Majors. And everybody is having some fun and blowing off some steam after a long race. We're going to give you the unofficial results, come back with some interviews, so don't go away. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps, and after 2.4 hours, Ryan Huff came home the winner despite difficulties along the way. Jimbo Pfeiffer claimed second. Kevin Brown jumped up an impressive 7 positions to finish third. Carl Burke came home in fourth, Josh Gardner in fifth. Then in sixth, it's Brian Barnes, followed by Corey Peters in seventh. Eighth was Jimmy Jones, then Brian Bennett in ninth, and finally Chris Beck in 10th. Sam?
In 11th place was Gino Scapino Sr. 12th was Wayne Hutchinson. 13th was Aaron Stowe. 14th was John Brown. 15th was Randy Webster. 16th was Kevin Canodal. 17th was William Fletcher. 18th was Dalton Petrillo. 19th was Stephen Paulison. And 20th was Gary Nichols. Bill?
21st, 4 laps back, is David Freebroth. J.D. Snyder was 11 laps back, and 23rd is Howard Wendell. He had an eventful race. 24th was Joseph Ryan, and I think that's it. He's 57 laps back. I'm not sure if he took the grid. So there you have it. Back to you, Joe, for some interviews.
First up, we have our winner, Ryan Huff, to talk to. Ryan, it looked like you were absolutely dominating everything for most of the race, and then you had a little bit of an incident with Howard Wendell. What was going through your mind when that happened?
It surprised me. It caught me off how quickly I caught him at the bus stop. I thought there was a big enough gap that I could have broke at the normal spot. It was totally my fault. I apologized to him many times. Luckily, it was at the end of the lap and I could dive in the pits.
Yeah, we were commentating on how that was an incredible amount of luck for you to try and maybe hold on to the lead. But then when you came back out, it seemed like Jimbo Pfeiffer was going a little bit slow. Were you ready to be very aggressive, or were you going to try and be patient and think long-term on this one?
I actually didn't know how far ahead he was or what he was running. I just went on full attack mode. I knew I had about a half second in the bag, that I wasn't really pushing too hard in the beginning. And then it surprised me that I caught him over, 2 or 3 laps. And yeah, after that, once I got in front of him, it was just kind of go back to the normal pace and see what he could do.
Well, other than that one moment, it seemed like it was rather uneventful for you up front, just really dominating everybody. Are you going to be at the next few rounds, and are you thinking anything towards the championship?
Yeah, I'll start running more with the Northwest. I think this is my first or maybe second race with them. I typically do league racing, but it was a lot of fun, and hopefully at the next one we'll get a bigger turnout.
Absolutely. Well, again, congratulations and well done on an absolutely stunning performance.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Jimbo Pfeiffer, and I believe that Bill Zahn is going to ask him a few questions.
Jimbo, congratulations on your second place finish. We got to ask you, what happened on the second pit stop? You crossed the line. Did you get a slowdown penalty? And then it seemed like you were going really slow when you had the lead, and then Ryan caught you. Can you tell me what was going on there?
No, I didn't have any penalties.
Were you up to pace after your second pit stop? Because it looked like you were letting the lap cars by. Was the tires an issue? What was up?
So the first lap out of the pits, I don't know if you guys have tried driving in the fog with cold tires, but it's crazy bad. So I was letting guys by because I was about 3 or 4 seconds slow coming out of the pits on cold tires. But then it just takes a lap to get up to speed, and so then I had a good 2 or 3 laps there with Ryan where we were nose to tail for a bit, and then I spun again. Then after that, I was just worried about fuel. So I put the fuel mapping to 5, which slows you down about a couple of seconds a lap, but that also kept me from being stupid and trying to chase him down because he was way too quick.
Yeah, probably. You're right, because he was on a league of his own today.
Yeah, I could keep up with him in the draft, but on his own he was pulling away a half second to a second a lap. So there was really nothing I could do once I spun and lost about 8-10 seconds on him.
Yeah, he got by you, and then we stayed with you, and you had a shot at him, but it would have been a tough pass, don't you think?
I don't think I could have passed. He would have had to have made a mistake, and he didn't make any mistakes. So I was just hoping to fill his mirrors for a little while until he got bored and left me.
Well, congratulations, and we hope to see you next time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for broadcasting it, guys.
All right, Joe.
All right.
Well, he's no James Hunt, but he still managed to pull home a third. We also have Kevin Brown, and Sam is going to ask him a few questions.
Kevin, congratulations on your run up to 10th. How were you able to pull that off?
Sheer dumb luck is about all I can say.
Yeah, and we noticed you had a couple of scares during the race. You were telling us during the break that you had a spin on the pace lap coming to the green, and also you almost had a collision with one John Brown during the middle of the race.
Yeah, I had a lot of scares. And it started, as you said, on the pace lap. I practically spun it in La Source. I'm amazed that I didn't spin it. And then I don't even remember what corner I was coming around now, but it was a left-hander, and all of a sudden I saw on the right there was a stalled McLaren, and suddenly it's joining the track. And yeah, it's my dear old papa just nearly taking me out. And then I definitely looped it big time with only a couple laps to go, and I also kind of tried to spin it each time I came out on cold tires, so it was definitely an entertaining race on my end.
Now, the winner of the race, Ryan Huff, was in a roof. Meanwhile, Jimbo and yourself, rounding out the podium, were in BMWs. Had you gone back and done the race again, would have you picked a different car, or do you think the BMW was the best car out there?
Oh, I don't think I'm, in any position to give a decision on that. I only had about 5 minutes practice. I'm sure it just kind of depends on what car fits your driving style best. The Z4 was the last car of these three that I'd driven, so I ran with it.
Well, it certainly seemed to do you well today, starting from 10th and finishing 3rd. Final question before you go. What's your favourite Beatles song?
My favorite Beatles song, it's either Come Together or Revolution.
Well, what a revolution today to hear a favourite Beatles song from Kevin Brown, the very cockroach himself. Back to you, Joe.
I just have one last question for Kevin. Are any of the rumors true?
Only the good ones.
Of course. We are going to do one more interview, and that is with the guy who seems to be pretty good on his fuel, and that's Brian Bennett. And Brian, we saw that you were one of the very last guys to hop into the pits. Did you have a very low fuel map on your car, or were you just running very well to stretch it out?
Well, I just used, I took a full load to start and then a full load at mid-race as well. And then I just ran until I thought I did my math properly at the end to close it out.
Well, unfortunately, it didn't seem to gain you any positions. You started 9th, you finished 9th. Do you have any regrets on the strategy? Would you have done anything differently?
Oh, no. I missed my speed limiter button going into the pits at my first stop and had a little penalty there. I think I was one of the only guys that took tires on the first stop, so I lost the group that I had been running with. Other than that, I had a couple spins on my own, and that left me out where I was at.
All right. Well, still, you gave us some entertaining moments with you being able to stretch the fuel much farther than we thought possible. Still, top 10 is nothing to scoff at, so congratulations.
Thank you. I'm pretty satisfied. It was my first endurance race on iRacing, so I was pretty happy. I had a good time.
Excellent job. Thanks for coming and talking to us.
Thank you for being here.
Well, guys, we are going to wrap up, and before we go, we just want to thank the organizer, Mike Willett, for putting the Northwest Majors on. He puts a lot of work into this thing. Also, thanks to the software and hardware that we use, iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, and Aver Media. Also, thanks to the team today, Bill, Sam, and Giancarlo. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and race highlights. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. Thanks goes out to Doug Beard, who creates all the camera sets for the Global Sim Racing Channel, and a special thank you to Eric Ekholm, whose music is not only found here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and even Spotify. If you like our music, tell Eric where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Additional thanks to Casey Lalonde, who also provides us with the music for our broadcasts. You can find more of his music at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Our next race in the Northwest Majors is going to be at Bristol in the trucks. That's a drastic difference from this course and this car. That is Sunday, August 17th at 5:45 p.m. Pacific. Then we have the ASRS at Pocono, Wednesday, July 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern. Also, the I Super Speedway series comes back at Daytona, Friday, August 1st at 10 p.m. Eastern. And of course, the VSRA begins their next season at Homestead, Sunday, August 3rd, and that kicks off at 9 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it, they're racing the DPs. Then the Continental Insurance Sports Car Series comes back for its next round at Mosport, Saturday, August 9th at 10:30 p.m. UTC. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.